Hey everyone, and welcome to D4, where I, Devin.
And I, Dustin, co-DM a 5th edition game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Woo!
You know what's cool? Icewind Dale.
Yeah.
You know what else is cool?
What?
Rime of the Frost Maiden. And that is Snow Laughing Matter. Enter hashtag Beyond for your chance to win a digital copy of Icewind Dale's Rime of the Frost Maiden, accompanied with glacial ice dice.
It's called frozen water.
Yep.
We're a long time. All right. Please enter into the chat only once, so you're not disqualified. And remember that Prime subscribers and regular subscribers are 3 times more likely to win. But the coolest news, the most fun news,
That's pretty neat,
is B. Dave Walters, the DM from A Darkened Wish, will be taking over the DM seat for episode 69. Nice. That is not this. That's next week.
Next week.
We're on 68. But that is going to be July 19th. It will be a canon episode. And it will, and he will have full control over the BFGs.
We're sorry.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
It's going to be fun, though.
Yes, it's going to be amazing. In turn, though, we will be taking over A Darkened Wish on the D&D Twitch channel on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the following Thursday. So that'll be the 23rd. And make sure to tune in, because although it may be different players, there might be threads that tie to our story. So let's hear from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Logan?
I was muted, and I had such a great intro.
Do it again!
I will. Well, as we prepare for Rime of the Frost Maiden, Icewind Dale, to come out, I've been using the old noodle to come up with some ideas. Now, no doubt Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden is going to introduce some amazing creatures, old favorites and new ones into the D&D canon, but I thought, you know what, Logan? Why don't you take a crack at that? And so I got to crack a lackin' and I came up with some. See, you can take part of the deal with homebrewing is you can take familiar items and then add the environment to them. So in this case, say the ice koala. Now we all know koalas are very fearsome. They have a tendency to grapple. They have extremely strong grappling strength, and they, if they so wish to, may bite you. So when you make the ice koala, make them in packs of no less than 20. Have them grapple, and then roll, I would say, a d4. If you land on a 4, they will bite. Okay? It's fearsome. There's a lot of them. They come out in packs. Also consider, for your viewing pleasure, ice bees, another swarming animal. They're bees, but they are ice variation of bees. They pollinate ice to take back to their ice hives. To create more ice bees. So it's a perpetual cycle of bee creation, ice bees. Also consider ice lawyers. These are particularly Neanderthals who have become lawyers, so as to propose their ice laws on you. It's not so much deadly as it is unnerving, because you don't really know the ice laws of Icewind Dale. But if you'd like to, go with a professional instead of my amazing ideas, pick up Icewind Dale and check out the new bestiary that's going to be coming out. Or ice bees. Ice bees is always an option. Hashtag ice bees.
Those don't sound real, but I don't know enough about them to dispute it.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I wish we had heard about this earlier, because then we could try to convince Beetle and Grimm to add ice koalas to the Platinum box. That's right. Beetle and Grimm is putting out another Platinum box. This time it is for Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. You can get your pre-order in now. They are full of wonderful things, and I strongly suggest you go to their website, beetleandgrimm.com, and check it out. Last time in their Platinum Edition box, they had a stuffed Lulu, which is a Holyfoot. They're adorable. She's half elephant, half little flying thing. I love her to death. But there's no telling what's going to be in the box this time. who knows what jewelry and little knickknacks will be available. And it's going to be perfect for when, we can actually be social again and you can bring your players to your table and throw really cool things at them. So head on over to beetleandgrims.com and get your platinum edition on. Katie? Or Ethan? Which one?
I could. My thing was screwed up. There we go. I also had a cool intro that is now ruined. No, I'm
do it anyway.
I didn't have a cool intro in mind. Hi. If you're going to make a character that's going to fight ice koalas and ice bees, you're going to need a really, really cool miniature to represent that character who's out there fighting ice koalas and ice bees and probably losing. They sound very dangerous. I mean, a D4 and then bite, you're going to get bit. You'll probably turn into a were-koala. But you're going to look awesome while you do it because Eldritch Foundry has added new ways for you to make your character. They have a huge new list of things for your character to be made with, and including a cowl and scarves so that you can weather the ice and fight ice koalas and ice bees. And we all know how important that is, #IceBees. So make sure you check out Eldritch Foundry to make yours. And hey, if you're watching tonight, you can put in #Eldritch and have your own character for yourself because you can win your own miniature to make. And you can make your guy who's going to fight those ice bees and ice koalas and save us all from an ice-mageddon.
You know what? Ice bees and ice koalas sound really, really dangerous. Like super dangerous. And I just don't really know who out there could fight off these ice bees and ice koalas. But you want to know, can you smell what the ice bees and the ice koalas are cooking? I'm sure you can't, but I know who can, and that is the Rock. And you know what the Rock is gonna do to these ice bees and ice koalas? Oh, he's gonna punch them.
I would have said
he's gonna punch him. He's gonna the Rock punch him. The Rock's gonna come. And he's going to punch him real good, real hard. But unfortunately, he couldn't show up today to do this task. Maybe he'll be here some other time. I'm not really sure. But in the meantime, maybe you should check out RockPunch ATL. It's not actually has anything to do with The Rock, but I know he's a fan, I think. So you should be too. And you want to know what? If you like Pokemon, if you like puzzle games, playing video games in general, just things that start with P, like pumpernickel. Actually, I can't help you with the pumpernickel part, but you can eat a pumpernickel sandwich while you watch all of RockPunch ATL streams doing these other P-related activities that I just mentioned. So you should do that. You should do that. That's all I got. I was never praised in my improv classes. I just needed to let you know that.
Okay, and I just wanted to come on and let y'all know that the only way to combat ice bees and ice koalas is through... Well, first, let's talk about the ice koalas. So we know they like to grapple. They like to grab onto things. So the best way to defeat them is to have a beautiful tri-blend shirt that's super soft, and then their claws get stuck in it, and then they just turn into hugging you, and it's really sweet. And then if ice koalas aren't your real style or anything, we also have these wonderful mugs and pint glasses that keep your drinks either warm or cold. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go get the pint glass, put a bunch of ice in it, put it in the freezer, let it do its thing. And then when you get your drink out, the ice bees won't know what to do. They'll go after your drink instead of you. Boom. D4DND.com.
Ice bees and ice koalas on the bingo card for 2020. So, without further ado,
let us immerse ourselves into the chronicles of
D4.
D4. we're back. Last time, on discussing demise and dispatching a dealer, Voss meets with Orso, his friend, and learns several things about the Castellanters and Gathalas. The Castellanters have multiple charities they funnel most of their wealth into, while the Gathalas seem to be money laundering and are funneling quite a bit into something called Project Giant Star. Voss also asks for info on his boss, as well as one of his coworkers who is in charge of the guild's finances.
Seisha talks to Harold about death and killing and opens up about how she feels. The bard tries his best to comfort her on such a difficult question. She then heads out to see Gariel. When she arrives at the Skewered Dragon, though, she walks up to Gariel playing cards with two gentlemen who are after info. As Seisha and Gariel clean the house with them, they tell about rumors they have heard. The first is a New Zentarum gang, or a schism within the recent one, after a recent Xanathar attack. And they say this one has red serpents instead of green.
Second is the ghost of the Black Viper is back and is targeting noble families, four in particular, the Anteos, the Kermalis, the Thon, and the Rosnars. Next, they tell of a string of murders that have had strange bloody skull hands in the inverted triangle symbols. 1/3 have a rose, 1/3 are turned to stone and crumpled with a look of fear, and the last are just gone. Nothing but the symbol. And the last rumor is one of the nobles is a vampire.
I mean, that is if you believe it.
True. 3 out of 4.
Totally true.
Seisha asks them a few questions herself, but they end up with a knife in their hand from Gariel as they make a forward movement towards Seisha. After that, they retired once again to the Chain Mermaid, Gariel's ship, where Seisha tells her about the murder. And she has the murders that she has committed and shows absolute remorse about doing it. Gariel then opens up about the truth behind her affections at first, that she is attracted to innocence, likes to break them, and then toss them overboard. But there's something about Seisha that Gariel has fallen head overboard herself with. The two share a small intimate moment and make dinner plans for a future date. V talks to Vinley about communication within the group and how best to handle Voss, and that they form a plan to get V and Voss on the same page, with Vinley being a middle person to help bridge the gap between the two. After that, the BFGs head to the field ward, where they help out with an ill-mannered triage tent, learning that several people were injured in a fireball blast. Seisha and Harold are able to save quite a bit of lives as Voss, V, and Vinley head to find the small group Voss has been gathering before to form a militia.
They meet up with the goblin Grecht, who has taken charge a bit, and the group instructs the 15 members to spread out and search for anyone dealing hero dust. The party, with the aid of the 15, head towards the Semes, the slums of the field ward, where they find a snake oil salesman selling a cure-all tonic. As Harold talks to the salesman, Voss and Seisha follow a lead as they saw a dealer dealing arrow dust. The two give chase, and Seisha tries to intervene to stop the man who has a strange snake-like appearance. Feeling threatened, the man misty steps away and summons an aberration from the far realm as he tries to run, blinking in and out of existence. The BFGs are able to fell two of the two summoned aberrations, and Harold killing the dealer after he flees with dissonant whispers. As the party is leaving the field ward for the night, they come on a gruesome scene. The High Priest of Ilmater, Arch-Sufferer Vespar Holmdrag, who is found hung by his arms, blood-eagled, eyes gouged out, and a message carved into his chest.
Let this preside over his happiness, honor, and health. It began with his hope and ends with his wealth. A legacy whispered in the heavens and muttered in the hells. And after seeing the gruesome display of the former Arch-Sufferer, of Ilmater, you watch the guard cut him down and begin to lower his body to the dirty, compacted earthen streets. He is wrapped in a white cloth that instantly begins to seep with crimson like an ink blot test. You hear the guard talking, trying to assess what happened, with no locals around able to provide adequate information of the crime, as it seems to have strangely happened with no one around or in the view of others. You are approached by a few of the guards covered in full plate carrying the halberds.
Waterdavians, this is not a safe area. Do you require an escort back through the north gate?
No, I think we're okay. What happened here?
Make sure you leave this area quickly. This man was a temple leader and residential citizen of Splendors. With the culprit uncaught and unidentified, we can only assume that other citizens may be a target. If there is ever anything you need in the field ward, you can always find off-duty guards at the In-Shift Tavern on the northeast end, Far Watchtower.
But as to answer your question, don't know. Nobody saw it happen.
I have a
From my
question.
vantage. Go ahead.
Looking at the scene, how much blood is under him? Does it look like he was killed here, or does it look like there's not that much blood and he was brought here?
There is a lot of blood.
Okay.
It definitely looks like he was killed here.
Okay.
That doesn't even look like a person.
I also have a question.
I knew him.
They look towards you.
Oh, this is a question for DMs.
Oh, yes.
Knowing my knowledge of anatomy and having dismembered several bodies already, how long would that have taken for someone to do?
An unskilled hand, a while. A skilled hand, the artistic display of it would take longer than the actual murder.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And it's hard to tell from your vantage point on how precise the ribs are pulled through the back. If it's brute strength, it could take seconds to do that.
Yeah.
If it's precisionally cut and sawed and so forth and so on, hours.
Yeah, but also the body right now has been wrapped to try and take it out of the view and hopefully calm people down. So they
Right.
are also being pushed away.
Okay.
Has anyone gone to the tents to tell his companions?
We already have a squad headed in their location as protection and an escort out of the field ward. And this body will be transferred by Griffin Guard back to the hospice of St. Lospin.
Can I make a quick check of the area to see if there's anything erstwhile about this that hasn't already been pointed out?
Sure, go ahead.
From my vantage point.
Yeah, you can make a perception check.
And I 100% am certain this could not have been the Harlequin.
100%. This is not his style.
Got it.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Even with a dirty 20, you're not able to walk everywhere because they're still keeping a perimeter around the body. They're not allowing you to be a part of the investigation. But from where you are, it just looks like a blood-soaked section of the city.
Okay.
Who you can ascertain that whoever did this knows what they're doing.
One
Okay.
more question. There's no footprints or anything leading away?
There's footprints everywhere.
Yeah.
But not like a trail of bloody footprints
No, not a trail of bloody
entering or
footprints.
leaving?
No.
No.
Whoever did this had to have magicked away or gone up to the roofs.
We have our men looking into it. Any attack on a Water Davian is attack on the city, so we'll be watching from the walls very astutely.
Is it supposed to look like a bloody angel?
We have no idea. It could be a mockery of his divinity.
Wait, let me get this straight. You're going to have your people watch from the wall? Nobody's actually going to be here?
We don't.
You know for a fact, Harold, that this is the field. This is what you're fighting to change in the field.
Right.
Yeah. If you ever do need us, you can find us at the In-Shift Tavern on In-Shift Lane near the Far Watchtower.
Yeah.
You can find us there, or you can, hire us as escorts from there within the field ward if you so wish. But no, we just watch from the walls. We protect the city.
Got it.
And he says, and just so you know, his tone in that isn't "we protect the city from the field ward." It's "we protect the city from what comes outside the walls into the city."
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
While I'm here, Harold thinks back. This had to happen while we were busy fighting the dude, right?
Throughout the day, while you were.
It is fresh. It is not
right. So like
blood is not dry.
we didn't see this hanging there when we were first.
And the field ward is a very large area, and where you were, both, all three places, the triage tents, the house that you have cleared out, and the semis are not near this. This was actually pretty, not very close, but kind of close to the north gate.
How can someone do this and no one see anything? I feel like magic has to be involved somehow because of that.
I agree with that. Either magic or this person was
Like
a real expert.
like some invisibility spell that eventually wore off or something.
Maybe it was a silence spell.
They would have had to, like I said, either go over the roofs, or they could have prestidigitated the blood off themselves and just walked into the street.
Too many options right now. There's nothing we can really get.
And you see the guards just kind of like nodding to you, like, yep.
Like they've literally gone over this exact. Yeah. Harold kind of nods to them. He's like, I don't think there's anything more we can do here. I'm so sorry, Seisha.
And the female guard who spoke to you the first time is just like, if you don't mind, we need to prepare him to be transferred back to the hospice of St. Lospin.
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Of course, yes.
We'll get
Thank
out
you.
of your way.
If you do find anything, make sure to contact any of the local watch.
Of course.
And be safe. Field ward is a dangerous place.
Do you know if
Finley.
are Blastwind and Cromley going to be brought in for this?
This is outside of the city. The mages and protectors don't work here.
V says to Vinley, can you do like any of your like detect magic-y stuff here?
I could, but I don't think there's going to be anything lingering around.
Oh, okay.
This looks like a cut and run kind of demonstration.
Okay.
Let's go home.
One moment. As this is going and as we begin to disperse, I would like to find the people.
The people? Like your group?
Yeah, the men.
They're spread out, but you can find Greg.
I find Greg and I say, at first I say to the group, if we're going to be doing any work here, it's best the group I've recruited here knows you. Would you like me to introduce you to?
Yeah. We should
Alright.
do that.
I find Greg and I say, gather them up quickly. They will be paid for their efforts today.
You got it, boss.
It's about 30 minutes as he rounds people up as they are trying to stay somewhere close to the semis, as that seems to be a huge area of where Herodust is the biggest problem. So they gather up and meet you all once again.
Back at the barracks, we'll call it.
Yeah. So, nod to Greg and I say, as I told you all before, we will be taking residence here and be willing to train. For today's efforts, I offer you each 10 copper pieces for the day's work, with more on the way.
You see
earn
all
more.
of their eyes just get huge, and they stand like at attention.
Yep.
Potentially more, depending on training. These are my comrades. All of them are equal to me in this endeavor. We are all here to help. And I stand back and kind of nod to each of you to introduce yourselves.
My name is Lord Keeper Seisha Valisvard.
You recognize most of them, Seisha.
I know several of you. Yes, it's good to see you all. And she'll step back.
I'm Harold. Most of you guys actually know me, so I wave and I'm like, "Sup, Bill?" Just to take a step back.
You gonna read us a story again?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe not tonight, but soon.
Okay.
And one by one, you each introduce yourselves. You each get the sense. There is a total of 40 people here that gathered and came when you put the call out. So, Voss, you can mark off 4 gold, which is 400 copper.
Yep.
And that's enough to pay each of them 10 copper apiece.
I will take off the 4 gold and an extra 10 copper that I give to Greg.
Okay.
He's paid double.
He gladly takes it.
You get the sense that where Seisha is teaching them knowledge, and Harold is basically
Feeding their
emboldening them.
souls.
Yeah. Vinley, they look towards maybe learning magic, but they are definitely excited to learn how to crush people or slaughter them with this giant woman who has a literal jawbone blade across her back.
Yeah, they're super excited and like giddy, and they're like, finally, we're gonna be able to defend ourselves. Yeah!
Yeah.
Do I get one of those giant jawbones? Stuff like that.
They are all gung-ho for learning something unique from each of you.
But through y'all's work in doing this, you have unlocked an asset in the field ward. You basically have eyes. So now that if there's an issue, these people will probably come and tell you or send word to you. So you don't have to be so much on the forefront of searching for it. You've built a pretty good allies in the field ward itself.
The field ward being the ally.
The field ward being the ally.
And the field ward may contact you at some point and be like, hey, there's problems.
Yeah, and we can assume that, a couple hours a day, you guys are out here training them, putting them through the various, your own personal tests and training, depending on what that strength is, and that'll continue to grow and gain, their trust.
And possibly level them up in their CRs and what type of
course
creatures they are, if they so ever have to help. But other things where the field ward might become another aid. So
and then once you finish this, it is sundown.
Yeah. You see the sky once again is painted in the beautiful summer sunset colors that weave through the lines of stratus clouds from the dissipating small storm cloud that rolled through the city earlier in the day. The slight, muggy, humid air begins to cool with the breeze rolling in from the seaside.
I guess, Harold's gonna turn and be like, do we want to just go back to the bar?
Are we not staying at Rainier's anymore?
There's not really any point.
Let me ask everyone this.
Who is it?
No. Is anyone going to be drinking tonight?
Probably.
Anyone, if we're drinking, go back to Rainier's. We don't have stock from our own bar to spend.
Got it.
That was a good one.
That's funny.
I just want to go sit in my nook and read.
With that, boss is going to go ahead and head off to Rainier's, and I'm going to exit sideways real quick. Excuse me.
Okay.
Be right back.
Seisha's going to head back to Troll Skull.
Okay.
Vinley waits to see where everyone else goes.
He's waiting too.
Harold looks uncomfortable with the group splitting up, and he's like,
Oh, Harold. Why don't you go back to the bar? V and I are going to have a girls' night and have some discussions.
rock on. Cool. To the bar. And I will go with Seisha.
And then I will start walking towards Rainier's house, just behind Boss, so he feels like he's walking there by himself.
If we're having a girls' night, why isn't Seisha invited?
Oh, that's just something I told to Harold. You're actually going to talk to Boss.
About no, I don't want to. No.
We'll see what happens. He may not be in the mood for it.
He's never in the mood for anything.
He's in the mood for killing.
It's like the little me pushing on her back while she's like,
Fine. V's dreading it.
Okay. Harold and Seisha, you make your way, feeling safer about resummoning your steed on the other side of the wall. Do you summon it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she'll mount up and reach a hand down to Harold and help him.
Harold will climb on. Terry, you're just now seeing that now that everything's calming down and you're kind of done with the day, Harold looks sort of shell-shocked. He looks distant.
It's been a rough day, huh?
Yep. Couple of days. Time is weird for me now.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
You okay?
Those nightmares really screwed me up. Or whatever it was. I guess I was dead. I don't know.
You were dead?
I guess.
What do you mean? What? How did you die and how did you come back?
I don't know. I drew a card while we were fighting these guys. And...
That's right. You drew from...
Yeah, I haven't had time to process all the stuff that happened. And I'm just ready to go home.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just want to be home.
Yeah. Let's go
Harold?
home.
Harold?
Yeah.
You realize the bar is home. It's our home.
I'll feel better when we all feel safe there.
Yeah. Hold on.
All right.
And she'll kick her horse to a trot.
Yeehaw!
As you're on the other side of the city and call forth to ride home, you notice something just specifically Seisha with your new perception. You notice that there are fewer carriages, especially for this time. And you see more people walking the streets as opposed to being ferried to and fro. It's not like a great number difference, but there's just something that you have perceived that you've never perceived before.
That's interesting.
What is?
Which section of town are we in?
The field ward leads directly into the north ward.
The north ward, yeah.
Which is
Okay.
where you live.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
What is?
People are walking. Look, there's not as many carriages around.
Weird. I guess
Not
people
really.
feel safer.
Exactly. What's changed?
I guess we killed the Xanathar.
We live here. I think we're making a difference, Harold.
Oh, I know we're making a difference. It's tough work, but it's pretty great seeing it all happen.
Yeah. Either that or people are just, accepting their fate. Could be either one, right?
Could be.
Probably the happier one, though.
I like to think so. I think people naturally are fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they see a fate that they don't want, they fight it.
Yeah.
I think that people are out because this is their fate. To be safer.
I think they have hope.
Yeah. And we're not done yet. There's something I want to tell you about soon. but now's not quite the right time. But I want everybody to be involved in it. It's something I've been working on, and I think it's going to be good. I think.
Hey, you want to hear about something funny I did today?
Yes.
And she'll tell him the story as they ride back about walking into the Skewered Dragon and
Yeah, the Gary L.
playing cards.
interchange.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
And accidentally knocking the knife deeper into the guy's hand.
Oh, that's cold. I love it.
Yeah,
That's great.
thanks. I said to myself, what would V do?
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And when we get back, Seisha will go up to her nook and she's going to pull out the book that she got and start reading it.
And
The book about the families.
Yeah, the noble family you got from Cromley's house.
And Harold will go up to his room and he'll kind of sit down on the bed and he'll put the otter back up from where all his pillows are covering it. He'll set it back up and he'll set up the bird and he'll look for Earl. And he's going to sit on his bed and he's going to cry for a long time and then he's going to go to bed. Because he is real messed up. I mean, he's basically got tortured. His soul got tortured for, hours. So he's just now sitting down and processing it all. And so he kind of gets a little emotional, gets it all out of his system, says, okay, tomorrow's another day. And he goes to sleep.
All right. You have a good long cry and end up just the exhaustion of the tears just overwhelm you and you end up falling asleep into a very deep, like deep sleep. One of those sleeps that you just don't wake up from anytime soon.
Like the deep dreamless kind?
The deep dreamless kind.
Yeah, there's slobber on the pillow. You forgot.
Yeah, he's feeling. Yeah, he needs it. My boy needs it.
All right.
We're gonna go to the other group.
Yeah,
Headed towards.
You enter into the North Ward, and kind of Voss is kind of just walking a little bit in front of y'all, and you get the sense that he's gonna start probably heading towards the tavern, but there definitely that moment of you are all together, before you turn off and head towards the Sea Ward.
Wait, so we think he's going towards the bar?
Yes.
No.
Oh. Interesting. Well, that didn't go as planned.
Wait,
And she'll
Where's
just
he
look
going?
at me. Why did he walk in a big circle?
I don't think he expects anyone to follow him or go with him.
I'll just call out for him.
He's not. Yeah.
Boss.
Not,
Where are you going? I thought we were going to Rainier's.
Said that's where I was going.
Right.
Yes, but your keen mind knows that Renair is not there. Out of play,
Okay.
we know what you're doing. You know that Renair is not there. He never stays at his house, and he also helps run your bar.
Oh, relaying that then.
Yeah.
I just forgot about something.
Oh. Okay, so we're all going back to the bar.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's walk together.
Okay.
Okay.
And you all take your way and turn onto Serdune Street. As you walk a little bit further down, make your way to Troll Skull Alley, where you find yourself at the Spirits of Troll Skull. And we'll say that you went down into the bar as somebody wants to speak to Renair, as opposed to Seisha and Harold, who made their way upstairs.
Gotcha.
Oh, if he's
Um,
going to speak with Rainier, V and I'll take V up into the common room.
Okay.
yeah. And now you get the sense when he said, "I am going to Renair," he meant he's going to see Renair, not going to Renair's.
Yeah.
I thought he
And
was
that's where that
going
can-
to Renair's
Yep.
house.
Yep. And that's where that confusion came from.
Got it. Renair is at our tavern.
Yeah, he likes to run it a lot.
Okay.
He's your manager.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, true enough. Okay. In that case, I too am also going to Renair.
Okay.
Oh. Then I will walk up to the common room by myself, cast Flock of Familiars, because I did not do it this morning, and I will sit there for a while
Okay.
with my friends.
You walk back into the bustling tavern as everybody is eating. At the end of dinner time, there's only a few people in here. Star has started to wind down and end their performance for the night, and but the smells wafting out from Javier and Aura's kitchen is beautiful as it once was before the attack on the financial situation of the tavern and the guilds.
Yep.
And you see,
I throw 2 silver up on the stage. See if I can persuade others to do the same.
okay, roll a persuasion check.
Okay. Hey, not bad. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. And everybody watching the dancer start to end their performance for the night sees that this is a good opportunity to pay them for their entertainment.
Yeah, and looks like he makes about maybe 15 to 20 silver.
Okay.
And you see Renair trying to wrap everything up as well, as he needs to find somewhere to sleep for the night.
Okay. I go up to him, assist him in the help wrapping up everything as well. Save him some time.
Yeah, and he thanks you. He also will give you a smile and kind of a wave as you walk in as well.
Yeah, she smiles and waves at him.
He just kind of gives you a finger of let me finish up, and then I'll he's like cleaning a dish and getting like behind the bar, and then you kind of hear like you kind of see like on the chalkboard behind him, Leaf writing, you're not doing it right. He's like fine, and then you see the glass and the cloth start floating and cleaning itself as Leaf takes over. But with Voss's help, you basically get it shut down a little bit as people begin to start making their way out and go home for the night, as it is after dark.
Yeah,
and it's just the few little locals around who enjoy drinking in the bar before you guys close up for the night.
I have a favor to ask of you.
Yeah, of course. What's up?
Beneath your home, you have a training pit facility.
I do.
I was wondering if I could borrow that equipment for an extended period of time.
Can I ask why?
Of course. I'm endeavoring on a bit of a project, you might say. Attempting to teach members of the field ward how to properly defend themselves and turn them into a proper militia. I believe the facility you have there, the equipment used there, will be beneficial in my training of them.
I have a feeling that it will do a lot more good than collecting dust in a mansion that I do not like to stay in.
I would agree with that.
That is very noble and admirable of you, and I think that would be a very good reason for it to be used properly again.
We ask a lot of you, but I appreciate your continued generosity, and we will pay you back in the future, I promise.
He just holds his hand up. He says, "That's what friends do, my friend."
I suppose so. Thank you.
Of course.
And I clasp his shoulder a bit, and then walk upstairs.
He basically returns the favor too, kind of gives a little squeeze and a nod, and as you turn, he turns to UV. Hey.
Hey. So had another traumatizing night. How about you?
What now?
Well, someone decided it'd be really fun to kill a priest dude and like blood eagle him in the middle of the field ward.
Oh, that's terrible.
It took me a little longer than I thought it would to recognize what exactly the wings are made out of. So that was fun.
He just pulls you into a hug. He's like hugging your waist because
Oh no.
Foot and a half taller than him. No, you're 2 feet taller than him.
No.
He's like 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, so a
I
little
thought
over
he
2
was.
feet.
I thought he was 5'11". He's
No,
5'9".
he's
Oh,
5'9".
he's little.
Yep, he's
Okay.
mine.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess she's gonna pick him up and give a hug. It feels a little better to her.
And he takes it and he's like,
It surprises him for a second.
"Ooh."
Whoop.
Yep.
Sorry, I know our height difference is a little weird.
It's not weird. It doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, good. Anyway, so she puts him down and she's just like, I don't know. I felt like I just had to like tell you about it or something. I talked to Vinley about like trying to, is Voss still there?
No,
No,
he had
he
gone.
walked.
Okay,
It's
he left
just
it
the two of you.
Alright, I tell him about how I talked to Vinley about how I'm like trying to think of ways to attempt of bonding with Voss and how it makes me feel stupid because it's like so clear he has like zero interest in wanting to bond with me in any way. And I was trying to think of things that me and him have in common. The only thing we both really have in common is we like to fight things. Well, he likes to kill things, but like maybe he'll like to fight things without killing them. So I thought about maybe taking like me and Harold, or you can come too, and taking him to the Bloody Fist or something.
I mean, that sounds
Do you think
interesting.
that would be a good idea?
I
Or do you think he would not be interested because he can't kill people?
No, I do not think he enjoys killing people. I think to him it is a necessity in the moment.
The only time I've ever really seen him like super happy is after killing people, though.
In a sense, it is a weird euphoric to some, the adrenaline of the thrill, but I don't know.
It mostly just makes me feel dizzy. But not like a good one. I don't know. I don't know. That's not... I don't know. That's all I got. That was my suggestion. If you have any other suggestions, I'm super open to about anything because I feel like I hate that I'm the one who has to put in an effort. Like, why do I have to put in the effort? Why can't he put in effort?
He just lean, like you're both sitting down. He just leans you down and kisses your forehead.
She pouts. Well, thanks so much for running things here. And I know you don't really like staying at your mansion. So if you want to, stay here, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you.
So I guess just let me know if you're comfortable with that.
I enjoy being around you and your friends. I very much enjoy being around you. I mean, we are betrothed after all.
Oh, right. I forgot. I forgot that was a rumor that I started.
I think I
Sorry.
technically started it when I, said it to really get at under your father's skin.
True. Well, Seisha's trying to get an interview with my mom to write a book on how wonderful the Gathala family is. So that's going to be really fun.
Good luck with that.
I'm just curious to know if she's even going to give her an audience because of me.
I don't know. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But
I guess so.
Talk to Voss about going to the Bloody Fist and seeing if he wants to go a round or two. It might be the thrill of... I mean, from what I have seen, the two of you bond the most during a fight. You work so well in tandem and bring openings to each other that you would think that you've been fighting together for years. Perhaps it is the thrill of the fight that you need to spark that start of something.
I mean, the only time we seem to be on the same page is when we're in the middle of a fight.
Life or death situations tend to do that, but it's a good first step, and it's a good thought. I would not have thought of it myself.
I still hate that I'm the one who has to put in all this effort. But whatever, I guess it just means I'm a bigger, better person, and not literally. Well, literally, yes, but, figuratively, too.
Why don't you go get some sleep? Seems like you've been through a lot. I can't imagine laying eyes on what you have seen. I will.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the morning. And he leans down and kisses you. And
okay.
Yep.
All right, and then V goes to bed.
Okay.
Well, she goes back to Vinley, actually, because she knows Vinley's in the common room. And she's just like, hey, so I guess we didn't talk to Voss so well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Next
We'll find a different
time.
time.
Yep, another time, a different time.
Or perhaps I should just walk down the hallway right now and grab them for you.
No, I'm tired. I'm like really tired. So I'm gonna go to bed. And we'll do this another time.
Perfect.
Okay. She goes to bed.
Boss, when you retired to your room, you saw 4 regular health potions arranged neatly on your pillow. No note. No, the door to your balcony's not left ajar. There's no signs of someone entering your room, but there are 4 health potions.
I approach slowly.
Would you make a perception check?
Okay. 14.
No traps. Doesn't
Yep.
appear to be.
You pull your moon blade, you look underneath to see if somebody is hiding under your bed, waiting for you to get close enough to, I don't know, cut your Achilles tendon or anything. Extremely paranoid that Voss might be thinking. And it is just 4 health potions on your pillow.
Yep.
I take them.
You can add 4 health potions. Potions of healing to your inventory.
I will ask Vinley to detect for magic when I wake up in the morning.
That is 100% okay.
I'm sitting in the common room right now. You came up before V did.
It's not immediate, but it
He's
is
gonna-
important.
He's gonna at least sleep through the night, hoping that he has 4 new health potions. Don't want to ruin that dream yet.
Yeah, I'll take them for now.
All right. Is anybody else doing anything before we retire for the evening? All right.
I'll state it just so it's stated, but Vinley has another conversation with her amulet and her ring that night as
Okay.
well.
Okay. You all wake up at different times, but eventually have a creamy, savory egg cheese souffle served and ricotta and honey toast with pomegranate mint lemonade, all prepared by the 2 amazing chefs you have once again cooking to the fullest ability now that all of your supplies have been returned from the guilds.
Holy shit, this is amazing.
I'm okay with never cooking again.
Me too.
As you all make your way back out,
You never cooking again.
Right. That's fair.
Oh my god, so good. As you all make your way back out of the tavern, you hear the cries of a young boy in baggy clothes standing atop a small crate.
Extra, extra! Read all about it! Black Viper, murders, and dangerous docks! What perils await the splendors? Find out here in the Waterdeep Wazoo! 2 nibs to know!
I go up to
Black
him,
Viper.
buy a paper.
Okay.
Okay.
That's 2 copper.
Breaking the bank.
You're muted.
You did
Okay.
copper.
Muted, Seisha.
Yeah, I heard a rumor about the Black Viper yesterday. The ghost of the Black Viper.
Who is the Black Viper?
Apparently
She's a
someone that
ghost?
torments noble families.
I like her.
What does the paper say, Voss?
I read the paper. What does it
All
say?
right. Give me a second, and I will.
Wow.
No, I'm gonna send you.
That is for our viewers. We're gonna send you the full copy.
I want a copy.
Oh, dadgummit. Hold on. Let me send it to everybody.
Buy it then.
So I'm dyslexic, and I read that as a most murderous fowl. I thought it was on a murderous bird.
So if you check in the group chat, there's a link. You should be able to click on it and pull up the full paper. And,
Thank you.
You can, if you want to read stuff out loud for the audience, that would be awesome. And I think so that way we're not silent as we read the newspaper for our podcast listeners.
Yeah.
The Black Viper article is too fuzzy to read.
If you click on it and then zoom in, you can.
Yeah, no, that is zoomed in.
I can read it. Let's see. Oh, the Black Viper part. No.
Yeah,
it
I can't
says-
read the Black Viper.
it says
I can
Black
see Lord
Viper-
Rainier.
It says Black Viper makes miraculous escape. The
notorious thief.
serious. Oh,
That was way off.
I got it.
Good.
Let me see here. The notorious thief robbed members of House Rosnar, including the family patriarch and his sister Bella. Lord Rosnar was robbed at sword point despite being surrounded by over a dozen house guards. We know this only because the young, Vance Rosnar?
Vance. Yep.
Grandson of Bella fled the scene in a panic and told on the nearest squad of the Watch he could find. By the time the Watch arrived, the Black Viper had escaped and in a I cannot read that one. And in a something obvious attempt to avoid embarrassment, Lord Rosnar refused to answer their questions. Patently, got it. Bell,
Lord
Lord Rosnar refused.
Lord Rosnar refused to answer their questions. Bella
Cuffed.
Vance on the ear, and nothing more was said. They all just left in a huff, said one Watch member.
Yeah, when we played cards yesterday, one of the rumors they said was that the ghost of the Black Viper was striking the nobles again. In fact, they mentioned 4 families, I believe. Hang on. I'm going to mispronounce these, I'm sure, because this was me trying to note them. Anatos? Anteos. I wrote Cormalis,
Yep, Cormalis.
Thrawn, and the Rosnars.
Thawne.
Why did I put an O? Because I was thinking Star Wars.
Voss, your keen mind kicks in real quick.
Yep.
Anteos. That was Seg Anteos, bruv. And he just married into the Cromer. Yeah, the Cromer, which was the brass instrument making family.
Look at this ad for the beer golem. This is a terrible ad. We could do better than this.
love this ad. We're more than beer. We've got coffee, tea, and other stuff. But yeah, we have a lot of beer. Over 2 score variety on tap on any given day. Come for the beer, stay for the beer. We also have ales, but really, are you going to come to a place called the Beer Golem and buy ale? I don't think so.
Wait, read. A murder most foul. Early this morning, the City Watch and the Sea Ward came across a gruesome scene in the Heroes' Garden.
There's an auction.
No, the body has now been identified as Forest Master. How is that? Kia, and Aarakocra, and High Priest of Sylvanus from the Shrine of Nature. The body was displayed in a horrific way that seems to send a message with how violent in nature the murder was. No suspect has been identified, and there seems to be no leads, according to retired Sergeant Cromley and Magus Blastwind, who were called to the scene for their expertise in investigating unusual crime scenes. The only lead is the chest of the body was completely plucked clean, and carved into the body was the question, what makes men mean? What does this ominous message mean, and what does the gruesome murder mean for our pleasant streets here in Waterdeep? That's the second person who is a master of their deity that's been murdered in a gruesome way.
Oh, and that wasn't the same guy?
No.
Maybe we should go. Maybe you should go to Cromley and Blastwind and tell them about what we saw.
Well, you know what makes men mean?
Money.
Neglectful parents.
I feel like that's
obviously
that's a lot. But what do the two people that got attacked have in common?
One was turned into a bird. The other one had their feathers plucked.
They're both leaders of their congregations.
Birds. it's a bird killer. Like
No.
they are supposed to represent dead birds.
Feather. There was something about feathers. What was the thing about feathers recently?
Birds of a feather flock together.
No. There was something about feathers recently.
Oh.
Or
that's all
a
I got.
feather. Oh,
You use quills to write stuff?
no. It was specifically the word feather.
I don't know. This is way outside of my scope. All the gruesome murders I know involve eyelids.
That is so tedious to pluck every single body hair. Unless there's a spell for that.
Well, this doesn't strike me as somebody who, is going to leave the job half-assed.
There's something about feathers. I don't remember what it was.
Well,
No, I'll see if I can't go visit.
yeah, if you have that epiphany moment,
Pastor Cromley.
just let me know. 'Cause I want to know.
You absolutely can head to Cromley.
Yeah.
Wait, there's shark attacks on the harbor? Sorry, I just read that article.
No,
Masked lords have ordered that the sandy shore be closed until the shark attacks cease. We never saw any sharks there.
I just read the dock ward one. I wonder if it's a warehouse.
For those listening, it says there's a shop open in the dock ward, and anything that has the name Pandemonium in the title is something the dock wards just don't need.
Local fishermen, yeah.
It's a warehouse.
Pandemonium warehouse.
Since we cannot give you the actual newspapers, these are from Beal and Grimm's Pandemonium.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if there actually are sharks or if this is like a weird cover up for something.
It's probably a cover up for something.
I mean, to close the.
Someone probably saw me swimming to see the dragon.
Let's focus
I will
on
remind you all that there was a shark when you all went down and fought the Mara. No, not the sea elves.
It wasn't like on the shore.
No, it wasn't. It was not near the shore waters. No, but
Boss.
there are sharks in the bay.
Boss, can I see the stone for a minute?
Sure. May I ask why?
Because I want to know what the feather thing was. No, wait, because then it'll erase everything again.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts.
Do I know what she's talking about?
I have no idea what she's talking about, so
Okay.
Am I
Stone
mixing
has
up
no idea.
games?
I don't know anything you're talking about, a feather thing. So
Yeah.
I might be mixing up games.
yeah.
Okay.
You're like, let me see what I'm like. I don't know what you're talking about. Have we done any? I don't think we've done any cryptic feather things.
Yeah,
Where's
I'm
the
not.
feather
I was
thing
drawing a
from?
blank.
Look, I know you're the note taker, so if you find something,
You're thinking,
Yeah,
you're
I'll
thinking
let you
of the. You're thinking maybe of the Red Wing.
No, it was
I mean,
specifically the
Vinley
word
casts
feather.
Featherfall all the time.
No, it's something very specific to the word feather.
Okay, so what are your plans for the day?
So obviously, Seisha's going to Cromley. Harold, you're going to look for Yep.
I actually want to, since I know I'm going to be awake before V is awake, like I want to get to V before anything else.
Of course.
Okay.
V,
Yeah, what's up?
would you mind accompanying me to the Blackstaff Tower today?
Sure, what are we doing?
There's a certain person there. Give me one moment.
Okay.
Evalos I don't know how to say this character's name. I'm sorry.
Master Evelos Morali.
Evalos Morali. Okay,
Okay.
tight. She
Tight.
should help you start to deal with what has happened to you and probably strengthen your mind against any further incursion.
Oh, the void stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. Will it be scary?
It's your mind.
So maybe. Okay.
The only limits are your brain.
Bee,
Okay. Yeah.
one more thing before we split up. I wrote a letter for your mother, and I'm wondering if you could give me your opinion on it.
Let me
Here,
pull it up.
I can just read it to you.
Oh. Okay.
To the esteemed Lady Gathala, greetings. My name is Lore Seeker Seisha Valaspard. I am a paladin of Ogma. I write to you today because I am composing a tome dealing with four premier noble families of Waterdeep, and I am hoping to include your family among them. In the interest of full disclosure, I will tell you I am friends with your daughter, Viomiliana. While she is relatively knowledgeable of the Gathala family, of the Gathala story, I would much prefer to get the story of your family's history and ascension from you. You and your husband did something truly incredible when you rose to become a member of the nobility, much less the first Goliath noble family of Waterdeep, and I wish to accurately impart as much of your tale as possible into the annals of the Font of Knowledge. I recognize that my relationship with your daughter makes the request quite a complex matter. I have no intention of discussing the present situation with regards to her during the interview, should you be so gracious as to accept. My intention is to discuss your house's qualities, position, and achievements. If you would be amenable to this endeavor, I will gladly and gratefully meet you at a place of your choosing on the occasion convenient to you. In truth and faith, Seisha Valaspard.
You know what? I honestly didn't expect you to mention me at all, but I mean, I don't think it's bad.
Okay, well, it's kind of an elephant in the room if I send a letter, because, I mean,
Yeah.
they've done their research. They know who you're with.
It's true.
I would sign it Laura Seeker, Seisha Valaspard.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Titles.
Matter.
Or maybe, yeah, like in truth and faith, lore seeker, Seisha Valaspard.
Yeah.
I think it's good. It sounds like, you think she's all hoity-toity and want to write positive stuff about her, and that's what she's going to want, so.
Okay, yay. All right, thanks. I'm gonna make that change and send it off.
Woof, let me know how that goes.
Sure. And maybe, who knows, maybe she'll ask for you to be there too.
No, I don't think she will. But that's a very sweet thought.
You never know.
So before you make your way to Cromley's for the day, you spend the time needed to transfer that into a paper bird and send that to Lady Gathala.
Yep.
Voss, when you woke up, you noticed through the window blue and red spiraled feathers etched into attached to a long black arrow embedded into the exterior of your balcony. When you go to investigate it, the note attached, slammed against the wall, simply reads, Noon, Dock Ward, 13183, Stingray Street.
I take the note, memorize it, and when I get ready to leave for the day, I'll take the arrow with me as well.
Okay.
I will burn this note.
Okay.
No problem.
Yep.
But cool.
Yeah. All right. We're going to start with Seisha and Cromley.
Okay.
You make your way back to the Street of Bells to a small, deep blue painted townhome. When you knock on the door, you are greeted warmly by the tall, thin, middle-aged man with a scraggly hair and beard. In the background, you faintly hear the whistle of a kettle as he ushers you in for a spot of tea. As you walk in, you can feel his eyes on you, noticing that you heard the kettle as your eyes shifted in the direction of the sound.
I see you're becoming more astute with your senses. Sorry.
I'm trying.
Morning tea. Especially since the first time we met.
Yes.
I would ask if you're here for another lesson, but I can tell something's on your mind as your eyes keep shifting to the right, your left, which means you're either visually or audibly recounting something you have experienced. So, quick lesson. Lesson number 2. If someone's looking in the opposite direction, or if someone touches their face more than usual, constantly repeats themselves to solidify their statement, or looks towards the door or exit during your conversation, 8 times out of 10, they're lying. 10 out of 10, they're nervous. So, why don't you sit down and ask me what it is you want to know?
The murder. She sits. The murder that was in the paper.
Yes.
Did you hear about the murder in the field ward yesterday?
I'm sure there are many homicides within the field ward, just as there are any outside the city.
Not like this. The man was... He was strung up, and his ribs were flayed open. His torso was basically turned into wings. And there was a message carved on him. She pulls out a sheet of paper. Let this preside over his happiness, honor, and health. It began with his hope and ends with his wealth. A legacy whispered in the heavens and muttered in the hells. This is somebody's killing and sending messages.
Who was it again?
Father Hondrig?
Of Ilmater?
Yes.
That and what makes men mean. The description you have matches the one that we saw Master Kika with. It's 2 high priests dead.
Ritualistically.
And what Barnabas and I can figure out, you can see that his eyes move to your right, his left, as if to recall some information. Looks like a copycat from 15 years ago.
Really? Who?
One of the first cases Barnabas and I worked on together. We think it's a copycat, or I think it's a copycat, of the chameleon killer because the details are close but not exact.
Chameleon killer. How did he get that name?
Well, the first time we found the bodies, as you said, back flayed open, in a religious context, throat slit, and a cryptic message etched into the front torso. But the eyes were never taken. And the targets? The reason why he's called the chameleon killer? They were shapeshifters.
Oh.
We think,
The
or at
victims
least...
were?
Yes. We think, at least the only thing we could deduce, is that it was to expose the corruption of what has infiltrated the city. Most people turn a blind eye because of that, and it's hard to get people to care when they believe justice is being done. And you see that he lets out a huge sigh as he just relaxes, starts thinking again, shakes his head, drinks some tea.
What makes you think it's a copycat instead of the original?
Like I said, the eyes weren't taken. Most of the details are the same, but there's something different.
But this time they're going after holy men.
And if our deduction was true about exposing the corruption for those that have infiltrated through their shape-shifting abilities, that would be somebody aiding the city. As I said, people look the other direction. But this is targeting high members of the city that only bring divinity to it. But it doesn't matter though, because we were never able to catch the culprit, and one day it just stopped. So either the message was received, or the chameleon killer met his own fate.
Or he
now we
was,
have to figure
or he
out.
was incarcerated for something else.
Could be. Could have been exiled.
Did you have a list of suspects?
No. That was the thing. We could never find anything. But now we have to figure out what the new message is and why they're so far targeting priests.
Yeah. All right. If you hear about any more, could you let me know?
Of course.
I knew Hendrik. He was a good man.
Yes, he was. I knew him as well. And you see him, again, look to your right, his left.
Tell me the story. And she will spend the morning listening to stories.
Okay.
And that is the one story he will not tell.
Yep.
Because it's the same as the last one that he avoided.
All right.
But your insight picks up that it's a painful memory.
Yeah.
And knowing Holmdrag and what the House of St. Lospin does, you can assume that somebody probably didn't make it.
Yeah.
But you can spend,
of course,
talking stories and learning a little bit more. And
if you spend the time, he'll actually go over another lesson with you of observation and all of that.
Yep.
So,
all right.
let's go down.
Let's make our way to Voss.
Right. So you go down to the address listed, to a small, old, rundown shipping and storage warehouse. All of the windows and doors seem to be locked or boarded up.
Can I hear anything inside?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
12.
There doesn't appear to be anything coming from the inside.
Not
I
yet.
will.
There's too much going on in
Yeah.
the city around you.
Yep. It is daytime, and so there are, the building itself does look to be condemned. It does not look to be an active building, but the hustle and bustle of the dock ward itself is, and the crashing waves of the ocean just, a couple blocks away is a little too much for you to hear what's going on the inside.
Gotcha. All right. I would like to find an entrance, potentially pick open a door if I have to, away from the prying eyes of the city.
You find a door. It is locked.
I will attempt to pick it open silently as much as I possibly can.
All right, so go ahead and make a stealth check and a Thieves' Tools check.
Thieves' Tools check is a dirty 20.
Okay.
Stealth check is a 24.
Okay.
All right. You quickly slip into the warehouse and notice it is extremely dimly lit and dark. The only light pours in from a small hole on the roof above. In the deep shadows, you hear the sounds of something thunking into wood repeatedly.
I move towards it silently, keeping my distance, but close enough. I want to get a good look at what's happening here.
As you sit back in the shadows, sitting amongst some of the warehouse crates and things abandoned here, you watch Zaraj train the young, lavender-skinned teenage girl with a little bit of angst. You see her train her for a while. She targets different empty crates while he tries to get her to focus on tightening her grouping. Next, you watch as she shoots from the upper balcony as Zaraj hides under the area while throwing random items of various sizes into the air to train her accuracy and reaction speed. You can tell she is enjoying every minute of it, even through her apathetic demeanor. Her focus solely on bettering herself, reveling in each pinned target. Next, they play a game of cat and mouse through the shadows. You notice that she has an unnatural gift for blending with the shadows. For you, it's hard to keep up with her, but you notice it is even harder for Zaraj, which is odd, because you know that he has a keen eye as an archer. But you also know that orcs and half-orcs have dark vision.
Everything seems to be going great until he tries to teach her breathing control and to block out her surroundings as he antagonizes her through his frightening, looming presence. As he screams at her, she turns, nearly firing the arrow at him before he cuts it away with his glaive. He tries to regain control and forces her to focus, but she seems to only get more unnerved when he motions her to return to a ready position. His hand then grabs the top of her head to tilt it ever so slightly to better her aim as she screams back at him, dropping her bow to the ground.
How many fucking times do I have to tell you, don't fucking touch me?
Unfazed by her anger, he then continues the lesson after taking an arrow and continues to annoyingly conduct her body position with it in place of his hand. You notice the tip of an arrowhead is a good motivator to fight resistance even when used gently. After a few minutes of this, she gets frustrated again, and so in turn, he motions her to return to the starting position
And continues with that as he leaves her alone.
I would like to, as she's getting ready to shoot a target at that moment, just make my presence known just then as I'm watching, by either dropping down from where I'm at or just clanging my bell guard against something.
Okay. As you make your presence known.
Right as she's getting ready to shoot.
As she turns, that arrow sinks into the door that what you came through, slamming it closed. As the breeze of the outside has just slightly opened it, not enough for light to get in, but it's closed into it. Yeah.
Echoing out from the shadows, you hear the young, angsty teen call out to you.
Door was locked for a reason, Orc Tongue. Entrance is up there.
She points to the hole in the roof leading to the rafters.
Are you here to babysit me while Zaraj teaches me how to get better with my bow?
Oh no. I could just hear you screaming from out on the streets. If you didn't want to attract attention, you're doing a very bad job of it.
She goes to say something retort and then realizes that you're right. Okay.
You're a good shot. How long have you been practicing?
Couple weeks, couple 10 day.
Couple 10. Very, very good. So,
I mean, I've always used a bow, but he's making me better.
You used a bow beforehand? Back at the village?
After the village. I was too young then.
Ah, I see. May I see it for a moment?
Why?
Humor me.
Fine. She hands it to you.
I look over it. What kind of bow is it?
It is a longbow. It's pretty simple in its design, nothing fancy.
What do you see when you fire this?
Target.
That's it?
That's what training's for.
What are you training to do? I throw the bow back at her.
She catches it.
Come on, you know the answer to this.
Yeah, so do you. So why are you asking me?
Makes you uncomfortable, doesn't it?
And she looks towards Zaraj and then back at you. A little bit.
But you still have ideas, dreams of revenge?
If I can even find them.
Anyone can be found. Just a matter of time.
You don't know how big Faerun is.
True. But I've always been good at finding people. I've always been good at being in the right place and the right.
Yeah, I guess so. You found me here. My private lesson.
You didn't make that difficult.
And,
If you can't do that in the heat of battle, you know all this training's useless, don't you?
and Ziraj steps forward, and he has a dark sash in his hand and hands it to you as he then looks to her.
Hmm. Would you mind if we took away everything that distracted you?
Sure.
I take the dark sash and I blindfold her.
Okay. And for the first time, you hear him speak more than just a few words.
If you hate me so much, then I test you to hit me as the elves I learned from hunted the lichens. Win, and we continue your way. Lose, and you will learn mine. Refuse, and our training is done.
What do you do?
I look at her and I say, this is your path.
Then get out of the
But
way.
I'll tell you this right now. What he's offering you is a boon and a gift. You don't take it. And if you don't shoot him with true murderous intent, there's no point to this.
Then get out of the way as she draws back her bow.
Yeah, I do, but I stay in range. And even though she's blindfolded, I'm not going to shout and scream at her, but I'm just going to whisper underneath my breath. This is where we separate the straw.
Stage whisper, Logan.
This is where we separate the straw from the wheat. This is where we see all the time put into you is worth it. The investment paid off. I want you in your mind's eye to not see Ziraj. I want you to see every single face you've ever wanted to put that arrow into. If you don't make this shot, you die. Everyone you care about dies. And everything you've ever wanted is taken from you. Block out everything else. There is only the shot and the kill. No more hesitation. Only focus and nothing more. Do you understand?
She does not reply, and as this is going on, you watch as the half-orc takes this moment to silently slink through the shadows, throwing small rocks and other various items around the room, using their noise as a distraction. You watch her wildly aim in multiple directions, firing wrongly, and every time trying to stay focused as she breathes, listening to your words. You can see anger building in her face.
I move next to her and I say, what is what a living thing does that nothing else does? Breathe. Listen.
Shut up, orc tongue. And she elbows you out of the way. And
I catch her, I grab her, and I hold her. And I say, enemy.
I'm trying to hit him.
Are you?
And she'll step away and again trying to keep firing. At one point, forcing you to duck behind a wood beam as she spins again, nearly pointing the arrow directly at you in your direction. But then eventually, the large half-orc man sneaks up from behind and gently places the blunt end of a knife against her throat, freezing her in place as she unties
As he unties the sash.
Yeah, as he unties the sash, sorry. He pulls the bow away from her as she huffs and looks away, and for a moment you see her wipe her face, trying to hide the hurt and pain that she just went through mentally. He squats down, resting one knee to the ground to be more level with her as he tilts her head towards him with the knife to look him in the eye.
You are strong here,
He points to her heart,
but you are weak here.
and he points to her forehead. You can see her seething now, not only from being touched by the orc, but because she is being proven wrong and was just bested.
Focus your hate. Do not be consumed by it, or you will become what you hunt. I could have chosen to hate elves for killing my father, the same elves that exiled my mother for loving him. Instead, I chose to learn from them and embrace the great hunter.
Catches you off guard for a second to hear him talk so much. As you know, he does not speak very often. You know, he only speaks when it is important. Your passive insight picks up that it picks up on the older brother, almost fatherly tone to his voice as he speaks to her. He eventually comes back to you while he forces her to run more drills. He gestures his arms openly with a tilt of his head, expecting your comments on the teachings.
She's never going to be comfortable with it. Siraj, do you remember your first kill?
He nods.
That one's the hardest. I know she has immense hate in her, and you are correct. She needs to focus it. The reality of it is, well, this is amazing. It's amazing. She won't know what she's capable of until she actually tries it. Has she ever even hit anything living? Hunting?
And he shakes his head no. You get the feeling that he thinks she's not ready and doesn't want to put her through that.
Call her back here.
You asked if Fala is there right now?
No, call her back here.
Oh, call her. Okay. I heard is Fala back here. I was like,
Nope.
no.
Mhm.
And he goes and he nudges, like, gets in front of her and then looks over in your direction. She walks over towards you.
One last shot. And I pull out 2 platinum out of my pocket and I set it down. All you have to do is hit a target.
He looks around at all of the arrows in the area.
I walk over onto the range and I stand there. Hit me once.
You serious,
understand-
Orc Tongue?
Oh yes, deadly so. But keep in mind, you have to hit me, not kill me. You could kill me right now. Of course, if you wanted to do that, it's only you and Siraj who would know. If you really hated me, it'd be a perfect opportunity to do so. I won't move. Hit me once and understand that when you hit me, Your arrow will sink into my flesh and pierce me. I bet 2 platinum. You miss.
Okay. And you see her just meld into the shadows as she steps behind a beam.
I look in that direction,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to pull out to test her in a way. I want to imagine me. I want to imagine one of my very old enemies. Now I want to imagine the moment I killed him, and I want to pull out every piece of rage and anger I have as if to project myself as something beastly into the ether. As if I'm dropping every mask I have and just throwing every piece of humanity away and being as I feel I am.
Make an intimidation check.
Yep. 27.
All right.
No, thank you.
And as soon as you do this, suddenly an arrow cuts across the armor protecting your shoulder less than an inch away from your neck as your coat collar is pinned to the wall behind you, stopping you from walking forward. She walks forward out of the shadows. She says, "That could have been your throat. I purposefully aimed it there." And your passive insight picks up that she is telling the truth. Rolled a 24.
Nice. I nod. I walk up to her after I pull the arrow out, and I say, "But you didn't hit me. You didn't make me bleed."
But I could if I wanted to.
Someday we'll see if that's true or not. And I
Right now
honestly hope.
Right now, you don't
is.
deserve it. I'm only going to kill what deserves it.
I hope that when the time comes for you to do so, when you kill what deserves it, your aim is true. And I take one of the platinums and I hand it to her. Incentive to continue forward.
As you hold it out, there's a long pause. She just looks at the coin.
I suggest you invest it into buying a better weapon.
And you can feel that she wants it, but you also feel there's hesitation in taking it.
I kneel down to about her level, so I'm at eye level, and I say, "You are investing time in me, your eyes, your trust, as is your teacher. So I am investing in you."
You all invest in each other. That's what the Doom Raiders do.
Aye. And so here is my investment, made manifest. As I said before, you're going to need a better weapon someday.
And she'll take the platinum from you.
And you spend the next 30 minutes continuing to chat with both of them before heading off to do other things.
Gotcha.
And we're going to go ahead and make our way to Blackstaff Tower.
With Vinley and V.
That's me. All right. So
You enter. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I take V up to the front door and I'm like, and I press my hand against it again.
Cast the 3rd level spell.
No, shut up. I'm gonna use a cantrip to open.
Oh, it doesn't
the door.
open.
Don't do this to me again.
Just kidding. No,
Serious question though, we said in the morning rituals, did you take Flock of Familiars off of your spell list today? Or, I mean, did you click the spell used?
I did.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's what.
Took care of that. And then I will, first of all, say hello to the
Tishalan.
guy. Yeah, I can never remember that guy's name.
And he
But-
just kind of nods in your direction, knows.
Hi.
And he just kind of sighs and goes back to his paperwork, not really paying attention to you.
Yep.
We're going to
And-
walk past and I'm going to say, maybe not so loud next time.
Oh. Okay.
Still kind of a library.
Okay.
And as you enter, into the ominous squat tower once again, walking past Tashlin and into the dining hall, students and teachers are still frazzled and harried as you pass by them. The dining hall is still filled with scholars poring over multiple books that you notice have to deal with storms, the weave, dark omens, the Netherese, old magics, the sundering, and more. Just like the last time you were here. It's only been about 2 days. No, 6 days.
Oh. Since,
No, 2 days. 2 days since the storm. Yeah, 2 days. Time is irrelevant. It's only been 2 days since the ominous red storm appeared. And you hear the same discussions as the last time you were here. Yet there still seem to be no answers. As you make your way to the winding staircase, back to the entry of the young Blackstaff, you were startled by a voice calling your name directly behind you in a condescending tone.
Oh, good. It's Aiden. She says as she turns around.
Venly Galanoda.
And as you turn, you see Aiden O'Zool, the middle-aged man in student robings with 4 tiering layers and multiple rope cordings of different colors approach. You have come to learn that each layer is a representation of rank. Of these, he wears the tunic, surcoat, robes, and cape, signifying his rank as an expert in the arts of necromancy. The cordings signify class and achievement of the wizard, and he would be akin to a valedictorian, AP scholar, as well as recognition of achievements in student leadership and philosophy. Each color attributed to the school of magic, where the braiding and location adornment signify the accomplishment. The man with shoulder-length salt and pepper hair, dark circled, heavy sunken eyes, shadowed by a heavy brow, square jawline, and a thin angular nose glares at you. His voice is calm and smooth, draped in an almost seductive whisper.
Curious topic you have been researching, Galanodo. Do be careful. And he looks at you with disdain as you cut him off.
Oh, sorry. I was busy. What? Could you make this quick? I'm sorry.
Do be careful with the subject path you walk. Remember, curiosity kills the cat.
Mm-hmm.
But I look forward to the day you are ready to challenge me in the duel.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. My bad. Honestly, Aiden, I was a little busy killing a criminal underlord at my bar that I own.
Bar. That fits you, as he looks down at you. Feel free to bring your bodyguard to come watch me destroy you.
And with a slight smile, he leaves you both standing before the stairwell, not awaiting your response.
Do people who talk like that have to like practice it at home before they go out in public, or?
Yes.
I mean, his master is a fan, so I mean.
He makes my blood boil, V.
I thought you had a bodyguard.
I didn't know either. I think he may have been talking about you.
Yeah, you definitely saw him eye you up and down.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
Honestly, you do more damage to me than enemies.
That was one time, I will add.
One of the 3 times I've ever been hit since I've known you people.
You've only been hit 3 times?
Around about.
Well, glad to know I win that. I don't know. Okay, what are we doing again?
I'm gonna keep walking.
Okay.
And
As you head up the stairs, you knock once again. You get the feeling as if something is watching you. Same to you, V. And after a moment passes, the shimmer washes over the door before it opens back into the lantern-lit war room of Vajra Safar. You see her holding tightly onto the crooked and hooked black staff.
Junior Gray, back again so soon. Have you returned with knowledge of the red sky, or is there something new that needs to be brought to my attention? Perhaps information about how a dragon was able to break through the barrier of our city? Also, Lady Gathala, it is nice to see you once again. How is Maloon's Bahir Blade treating you?
It's good. I like it a lot. It's Veterock now, by the way.
My apologies. Veterock. I will make a note to approach you appropriately next time.
Okay, cool.
And just a real quick question before this scene continues. Do I know what she's talking about when she says a dragon?
Fuck no.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't like
Yeah.
spaced out for some reason.
Yep.
Okay. So Vinley's face is genuinely like not crumpled, but squinched at dragon.
Furrowed.
Furrowed's a good word.
Yeah.
And she'll look at Vajra and say, I'm here for the red sky and something else, and possibly a slight favor. But before all of that, what do you mean by dragon breaking the barrier into the city?
Yes, I have some reports of a dragon being seen within the city. Not much beyond that, but it should not be possible with the powerful warding protecting the splendors. But if you have time within your 10-day, with whatever you're about to tell me, please look into it if you can.
I'm shocked that wasn't in the paper.
I am too.
These are small whispers, so
So give it time and it'll be in the paper.
perhaps.
Dragon's a hard thing to miss.
So as far as the red sky goes, I remembered something that I forgot to tell you last time I was here. There was a woman in the field ward, and she spoke in a sort of soothsayer mentality that I believe you should probably look into. Her skin is light blue, and she's a smaller person.
I know
Her skin was blue, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, her skin was definitely blue, and you see Vajra kind of like search her mind as to what that could be. I know there are many half races, so maybe a halfling or gnome mixed with a genasi, or
If I could interject, I believe it was Herodust.
yes, wild magics plaguing our city.
She seemed very wild.
And you trust someone who's under the influence of a Herodust?
Well, she mentioned a red sky and feeling, can't remember her specific wording, but basically equates to an earthquake. She said that hours before the Xanathar attacked us and the sky turned red and the earth began to shake. She also
and
said-
there are moon bears.
I give a little less credit to the bugbears on the moon theory, but she did say it, so I can't technically rule it out.
And we're not sure if they came from the moon or if they were from Earth and then put on the moon. So
Interesting theory of what dwells on Selune. But perhaps Herodust has the ability to awaken your mind. I need to bring this to Master Morales' attention.
I think that would be very wise. And I saw in the papers, I'm sure you have heard about this from Blastwind and Barnabas, that
Barnabas is Blastwind. I'm sure you're talking of his friend Saith Cromley, the retired sergeant.
Cromley, yes, that one. There was another murder, a gruesome murder in the field ward as well, that I don't believe anyone would have properly informed you about, so I came to do it myself.
Thank you for that. That is very troubling. So that is 2 murders. And who was the victim there?
It was the High Priest of Ilmatar. I unfortunately cannot remember his name. Presently, I only met him twice.
Arch sufferer Holmdrag.
Yes, that's it, precisely.
So, this is
And-
troubling.
It's more troubling with the way he was displayed.
More troubling than the back ripped open and a message scrawled across the chest?
Back ripped open, wings spread, made of the back.
Yes.
I knew the other one was an Arakora, so
Aarakocra. But
everyone pronounces things so differently here in Waterdeep. It's fascinating.
so, thank you for bringing this to my attention. That is very troubling. I'll look into this soothsayer, whatever.
There was also a
She may
message
bring.
written on Holmdrag's body,
Yes, and what was that?
and I'll relay her the message unless
Okay.
you want me to read it again.
No.
Okay,
Is
cool.
there anything else that I can be of assistance with? You've given me much to think about.
Could you perhaps set up a meeting between Avalos and Avalos Morali? Oh,
I'm
Yes.
trying to build up resistance to mind magic.
Ah. And for a moment,
You watch as Vajra's demeanor go blank, as if spacing out for a moment, focusing on a singular spot in the room. Almost a half minute passes before she looks back towards you again.
During that half minute, V leans to Vinley and goes, Is she okay? Does this normally happen?
can I roll an insight check?
yeah, go ahead and make an insight check.
She good? Is she getting ascending? That's 14, I
Did you
believe.
ask if she was dead?
No, 13.
She dead?
Is she astral projecting? What's happening?
13, she's fine. She looks fine. But you know what's happening. You don't
She's
even need to
sitting.
make an Arcana check. As then she looks to you and goes, Master Morali is done teaching her lesson, is willing to meet with you. She should be able to help strengthen your mind, especially if the Far Realm continues to leak into our city. I'll send you to her now. Latsunda ith damen evolos Morali.
And the wave of her hand, the room and Vajra dissolve away, and in the blink of an eye, you are standing in a room that is round and smooth, like being trapped within a massive bubble of swirling, milky, silvery smoke in the center of the room. You see a body that levitates a few feet from the ground with their legs crossed in a sitting position.
The small halfling woman looks almost like a ghost. Her skin is deathly pale with stark white hair that you can see peeking out from her deep hood and her bare feet. Her deep gray golden trimmed robes billow as if in a calm storm, ignited by the glow of the divining runes and circles that cover every inch. At first, you think her eyes are closed due to the color of her skin before you realize they are solid white, illuminated in the white glow of an arcane weave from the ritual being done. Suddenly, in your heads, you all hear telepathically a woman's calm and soothing voice.
Greetings, Vinley Galanodel and V. Veterak. How may I be of assistance to you?
Am I supposed to respond to her in my mind or out loud?
Either is fine.
Okay. Fee is, by the way, holding on to Vinley for comfort as this was very abrupt and scary for her.
And the entire conversation is telepathically to you, by the way.
And Vinley, this is just trying to slowly and calmly wiggle away from V's grip. But she will say, good morning. We were here wondering if there was any way you could help my friend here in particular, but perhaps both of us, strengthen our mind a little against the stuff we have seen and the creatures we will continue to have to fight.
The eyeball creatures.
The far realm is indeed a dangerous place for the mind. The psyche can only take in what we can perceive as truth. Even in lies, our mind perceives the truth of what the lie is telling. The far realm bends and breaks all truth with that. Your mind bends until it breaks completely. Let us see what you have seen. Please lie down in the center here.
Wait, I have to relive what I've seen?
No,
Or
but-
are you just probing?
You wish to strengthen your mind against it, yes?
Yeah.
And it will not be a pleasant experience.
I have to do fine. She is not excited and lies down.
Yeah, the halfling woman, as you're talking, gestures blindly to the center where you saw the man with the dog lying there last time you were here. As you lie down, she floats down and places a blue celestite crystal onto your brow. Vinley, you watch as a flow of white arcane weave pours out from V's forehead through the light blue celestite focusing crystal, almost like a thin thread tether that links V to the ceiling of the massive divining crystal that creates the room itself. The short-statured woman then begins levitating once again and holds out a hand and begins to manipulate the magical thread of Mistra's weave.
V, as you close your eyes, you find yourself slipping away into a deep sleep. But mentally, you feel as if nothing has changed. You wait for a moment, expecting something to happen, and open your eyes only to find yourself standing in the milky silver round room alone. There are no doors, no windows, no sign of the diviner or Vinley.
Hello? Anyone here? Are y'all invisible? She kind of
Go ahead.
She kind of starts to walk. She takes a step to walk around.
And as you take a step, slowly everything begins to fade and darken from the glistening white glow until you are standing in a black void of nothingness.
Oh.
You
She-
frantically... Yep.
She puts her hand on the ground just to see if there is a ground.
You frantically look around and you feel for the floor as it gives out from under you and you just hover and float weightless in the void.
I hate this.
As you start to look around, your eyes begin to adjust to the darkness and you notice it is not entirely empty. You start to see the twinkling of stars slowly come into existence. And as they grow brighter and brighter, you realize that they're not stars at all, but eyes. Hundreds of thousands of eyes piercing into your very soul.
And that's where we're going to take a break.
That was rude.
That's fine, I'm sure.
Dicks.
I'm so sorry, V.
Fine. I thought I was me practicing magic, not just reliving my trauma.
You got to
magic.
strengthen your mind by
So-
strengthen your mind.
We will be back in about 15 minutes or so. If you have not already, entered hashtag Eldritch to win an Eldritch Foundry miniature and hashtag Beyond to win a digital copy of Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden. And we will see you soon.
Yes. Hey everyone, and we're back. Everyone has split up into different areas of the ward.
We can do that again.
Like we do.
Yeah.
We can do that
Uh,
safely.
yeah.
Hashtag split
almost
the
every-
party.
This is what happens when you run a game in a city. People feel comfortable enough that they live there, they can go wherever they want. There's not threatening panthers.
I know where I like my groceries from, Devin. That's just
I'm going to find those pants.
I need cantaloupes.
Logan went to
Sliced
have a
cantaloupes.
meeting to watch Zaraj train Elvandria. Seisha went to retired Sergeant Cromley to learn more about the murders that are happening and finds out that this isn't the first time this calling card has been left within the City of Splendors. But now we are with V and Vinley at the Blackstaff Tower,
where V is getting her mind strengthened to hopefully withstand the throes of the far realm. And she has found herself in an empty void full of eyes once again. And we're starting off with
an intelligence saving throw.
You're real strong. Real strong.
Intelligence,
I'm
not
muted,
wisdom.
Sorry. I'm actually better at wisdom than intelligence.
I know.
Is that you?
I said, I know.
Oh, I thought you said, no. And I was
Yeah.
like, I do know what my sheet says. And it's 4.
ooh,
Ow! Ooh, strong. That real strong mind. You're immediately taken over by the fear of this place, remembering the first time you saw it. You find yourself paralyzed, unable to move. You feel the eyes stare through you, and your mind feels like it is stabbed by 1,000 needles. And you take 3 points of psychic damage.
Cool.
Let go of your fear and transgressions, and let your mind become flexible to bending to what you see.
Like
Well,
spooky!
When you allow your mind to bend around you, you strengthen it so it cannot break. Do you wish to stop, or shall we push harder against the bend?
I don't know. Does it get better or worse?
there's no response.
I guess I'll keep going.
Okay. Vinley, you watch as V is laying what seemed peaceful at first, and then her brow furrowed and she starts shaking violently. You can see fear wash over her face as Master Morali stays floating. You hear none of what is happening. You see none of what is happening. It is a very calm, besides V's movements, very calm room right now, very quiet and serene. But V, from the vast, empty abandon of eyes, you hear once again the guttural, haunting voice that echoes through the void and speaks your name. Viomiliana. The black emptiness begins to fade, and as light comes back to you, you find it completely engrossed by a golden yellow hue, like looking through tinted glass with a thick purple black veins stretched across it. The outside world hazy and distorted, like looking through warped glass. You feel weightless again, but also compressed by the pressure all around you, now realizing you are submerged in some type of viscous ooze.
The walls of the embryonic membrane cling around you, giving very little room to move. You push your hand as it stretches against the membrane and tears through it like butter, like a butcher gutting a pig. As you and the milky viscous fluid pours out and onto the spongy ground, you cough up what feels like gallons of fluid from your stomach and lungs. As it begins to drip off of you and slowly rises into the air like tendrils of strings tied to a marionette. Your head instantly fills with thousands of needles, plaguing your mind with the most intense migraine you've ever experienced.
Gathering your bearings, looking around at a nearly empty wasteland. Your now deflated organic flesh pod can be seen attached to a few others, suspended by roots that are slick and inky, more like veins growing across the land and up into the air to form large, long bronchi. In each pod within the cancerous polyp tree is another humanoid figure floating in the embryonic fluid, but you see none of your friends. You do not see Seisha, you do not see Vinley or Harold or even Voss in some sick attempt to find something to cling to.
The first thing you notice after escaping whatever fleshy prison it was that held you captive is the utter bitter cold. As you look around to somehow ascertain where you may be, hoping to find shelter, you realize you are once again back in the far realm. The nebulous sky above dances around like clouds made of oil and blood, swirling in on itself within the inky void that is the vastness of the stars. The dark, muted crimson sky illuminated by 7 moons that look like they are covered in horrific scars of burned flesh stretch across their surface with large hollow chunks removed from its form. A few of the dead moons in the distance can be seen broken away by massive, slowly writhing tendrils and tentacles bursting from below its surface, reaching out into the empty vastness of space.
Although you hear sound around you from your movements, or when you talk and scream out calling for someone, there is no ambient sound emanating from the world around you. The silence is almost deafening, but if anything, it is definitely unnerving. However, although you can't hear it, you can definitely feel the energy of this place filling you with dread, like your heart is sinking into your stomach. As you look out into the empty plain, you see stretches of round, rolling hills, interwoven and folded around each other like the slukai of brain. Sharp shards of crystallized amber covered in the same black tendrils of the pods protrude everywhere across the surface like a rocky desert. The jagged rocks resemble more like rusted, broken, and jagged blades sticking out through flesh, creating harsh, deep shadows nestled below their outcroppings.
As you look along the horizon, you see thousands more of these bronchi polyps far off in the distance of every direction, like small cancerous growths. And with it, you see a few other people wandering aimlessly, mostly of which you see seem to be looking at the only beacon of tangible comprehension. In the far off distance, before you is a colossal pyramid split down the middle and separated by thousands of feet. But from here, it appears to be only inches. A pillar of light radiates through the void and up into the heavens from between the pyramid, where it eventually fades away from perspective. It's at this point that you notice the massive ships floating through the dry thunderstorm, rendering the vessel nearly invisible against the nebulous sky.
Your vision blurs for a few seconds and then becomes hyper-focused as you see the energy of everyone around you pulsing from these polyps. And from that, energy pulls from you, and you see Lo stepping out ethereally, emerging from you as she comes up to stand face to face in front of you. And with that, she draws an ethereal red knife from her belt and slowly raises it, begins to cut a circle around your face.
You struggle to move away and find yourself shackled with writhing tendrils that pour out of Lo's stomach, stretching her torso into a gaping maw of tentacles and teeth. The pain is excruciating as she cuts away the flesh of your face and pulls it away and places it onto her own. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Was that 19, 1, 9?
19. It is a 1 and a 9.
Okay. Having lived this memory once already and seeing the horrors of the far realm firsthand, you take Master Evelos Morales' advice and allow your mind to bend and fold around the horrors before you. The image fades and dissolves away back into the room where you awaken, out of breath and extremely tired. But you feel yourself strengthened through your will of your own mind. And when you level next, you have the option to take the Resilient, Wisdom, or Intelligence feat.
Hey!
Are you okay, V?
I guess.
Well, you're breathing, so it must have gone well.
That could have killed me?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
What?
What?
Yeah. And with that in your voice, you hear, "It would not have killed you, but it would have rendered your mind astute. I do not know the pain which you sought,
but your mind is stronger now.
Cool.
Remember, allow yourself to bend to the will of the fear that surrounds you. Let your mind be like a wave in the ocean. It conforms to that which it sees. Allow it to bend and not resist, for when it resists is when it breaks.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
We should probably go get some rest. You look tired.
Yeah.
You are covered in a cold sweat.
Need a shower.
Oh, no you don't.
And you are completely clean.
Oh, nice.
Magic, it's a double-sided coin or whatever. Come on.
Edge sword?
Oh, yeah. Sword. As she's like walking out, she's like, why didn't I think of sword? And she thanks Master Morali.
Morali, yes.
Morali.
Oh, yeah.
The old halfling woman bows to you.
Thanks, I think.
And she smiles and, I am here if you ever need anything.
Thank you so much.
And with that, we are gonna make our way to Harold. Oh, yeah. Well, let's do that first. Let's go back to Voss for a second. We're gonna save Harold.
Voss, if you so wish to bring Vinley, you can find her at Trollskull Manor, tending to V, or you can go to the Temple of Gond yourself, whichever you choose.
I'll say this. During our last encounter, I remember Vinley wanting to, what it seemed to be, bridge the gap between myself and Theo Indiana. So, reluctantly, I will go to Trollskull Manor to seek her out.
Okay. You find, I'm guessing, V and Vinley in the common room? Or
Yeah.
in... Yep.
Probably in the common room.
You what?
Probably in the common room.
I would say the common room. I would also say that V is drinking.
100% okay.
Yeah.
Boss, knowing keen mind, knows exactly what time it is.
Yep.
Your passive
Well-
insight can also pick up that V is visibly shaken.
Oh, hello. Voss.
Apologies if I am interrupting anything important. I was going to make a trip to the Temple of God. Yeah. If either of you wish to come, it seems like you're engaged in something else at the moment.
I think, V, it's probably time for you to lay down instead of continuing to drink.
I don't want to go to sleep yet.
Can I get home?
No, not yet.
It'll be after.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was gonna fix V.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be alone.
Okay. Do you want to? I turn to Voss as she continues the question to V. She turns to face Voss and says, "Do you want to come with us?
What do you need me for? Like, look scary or something?"
You can just stand there if you don't want to be alone. You don't have to look scary."
Okay. I guess.
She
I don't know why you'd need me.
She hands her another slice of bread.
I pull in Vinley a little bit and just go, what happened?
It's a long story, but essentially, I've been trying to help her. And today was mental preparation for the far realms, and it kind of took a lot out of her.
I can see that.
She did well, though. She was only down for a little bit.
Yeah, my grandmother cut my face off and put it on her face again.
That happened.
Okay. Well,
She told me about it. All of it.
all right. Is this helpful?
Perhaps, it's just training to further your resistance to any magical spells that tamper your mind or any mind-altering magics in general or supernatural effects.
All right. Well, I have to get moving, but I'd like to talk about this further.
I would love to come with you. I don't know if you, as she points to V, should come.
Okay. I will hang out with Leaf.
I can leave you some friends. And she holds up her hands, and Savard falls, flutters up.
That's okay. Thank you, though.
Okay.
Okay. So, while you two are out, and something that you all have now noticed is the same thing that Seisha has noticed, but it's across all of the wards, as there seems to be less carriages, more people walking about. You see some people sharing carriages, if you so wish.
I hail a carriage.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it takes a little bit longer.
It takes a little bit longer, and when one pulls up, there's already a man inside.
Okay. As he pulls up, I would just like to question the driver and ask, seems to be a bit few of you on the road these days.
Yep. Strange that is. But hey, means I get more work.
No idea why that is.
Something about, I don't know, people needing more horses. Something, I don't know. Hasn't affected me though, so I don't care.
Gotcha. I pay him for go to the Temple of Gond, and as I step inside, who else is in the carriage?
Just some random guy making his way into the city, or into the castle ward to the market.
Okay. I don't bother him then.
Yep.
All right.
Go ahead and spend. Something else you notice is that there's an upcharge, and it is going to cost 5 silver, with something that should have only cost 1 silver.
I do not.
Shouldn't they be charging less for a shared Uber?
It's a Uber, not an Uber.
Sorry.
If you pay it, you get in. And you return once again to the House of Inspired Hands, where the various tinkersmiths and crafters are going about their visions. As you enter, you once again see Twiggy standing on the rafters of the tallest section of the temple, where he once again jumps with the parapack on his back, and just like last time, he goes to pull, and the chute fails to open due to a faulty pull cord. But this time, you watch him push a button from the bottom of the parapack as a small pouch overturns, and from it dumps hundreds, if not thousands, of sponges, in which he lands, somewhat safely. He jumps up with joy, squealing with excitement.
It worked! It worked! Huzzah! It worked! Did you see? It worked!
I did. What an inspired sponge mechanism you found.
Ah, yes, you see. Oh. You push this button and a compartment of holding in the parapack that is attached to a mechanism that overturns dumping 1 or 2 sponges for the wearer to safely land in. And if for some reason that fails and whenever the wearer goes splat, the sponges are there all ready for a quick cleanup.
This is really one of my greatest inventions. So, what brings you back to the House of Inspired Hands?
I am here to see Nim. Sir?
Yeah.
Could you direct me to where he is?
Of course. Yes, right this way.
And Twiggy leads you back to the observatory room where Nim stays. And you find the mechanical man hooked up to the amputee machine as you hear the sharp, high-pitched whine of this large circular blade as he pulls the lever and severs his own leg.
He looks up at you through the multiple glowing eye ports of his sleek face. As
What
you
you doing, buddy?
I was trying to see if I could experience pain.
Oh, you didn't have to do all that.
I believed I had come up with the proper algorithm for my joints, but I was wrong. Inspiring. I will now reattach and try again. But how may I be of assistance today?
Let's get your leg back on first, and then we'll talk, and I'll assist him with this if it's not too long.
Oh, no assistance necessary. And you just see him just go to work, and it looks pretty intricate and is going to take a while. I can talk to you while I repair myself.
Certainly. And I turn to Vinley real quickly and whisper in her ear. Would you mind keeping a measure of... I know it's difficult because he's an automaton, but see if you can get an idea of his feeling, if it exists.
His feeling?
Yes. I'm going to run a bit of an experiment.
Do you say this quietly?
Yes.
Okay.
I turn back to Nim, and I say, Nim, tell me. I know so little about a mechanism or a person like yourself. You said you don't experience pain. Do you feel emotions? Desires?
Well, to answer your first inquiry, I believe I was created on the Isle of Latan, as many of my type were. But I am an anomaly, a chosen, as Techsmith Twiggy puts it, of Gond. To answer your second inquiry, I do not know. That is what I am trying to experience. Feelings, are they a part of the soul?
I want you to do something for me. That compartment that houses the crystal, the shell of yourself, that's what you call it, right? Your soul.
It is my power source, but your soul is not your power source, unless that is what turns off when you die.
Open.
And he unbuttons his very fine tailed coat and clicks a couple of spots in his chest that then pushes out and then separates. And you can see the internal workings of all of the mechanisms, the gears, the pistons, and all of the things that don't quite make sense to you. And you see a glowing shard in the center of his chest.
I look at it. This is what I pierced and destroyed when I had to kill the other. As you said, I destroyed his soul.
And he looks over at the displayed figure that's all stretched out, almost like Da Vinci's
something man.
Vitruvian Man, I think is what
I
it's.
think that's what it is.
But splayed out like that, sectioned across, as if to understand the inner workings and find a way to make it a living creature. And he goes, "Yes, that is a correct account of what was said. Then I would assume that this is a soul, but why am I an anomaly?
How did you feel whenever I told you I destroyed him?
I did not know that one, but maybe one day I will. I have no care for that being.
Do you have care for yourself?
That is hard to say.
While he's distracted, I want to pull out my blade and drive it into his soul. What I'm not doing, I don't want to destroy him or attack him.
Okay.
I want to make it look like I'm going for him, and then I'm going to destroy him, and I want to see what he does.
I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
Can I roll an insight check?
I still need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Me too?
No, Voss.
18.
Twiggy casts at you. As soon as you go to the offensive, Twiggy immediately casts at you.
I gotcha.
You can
But what was your total?
Arcana,
18.
and I think it's Wisdom. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's Wisdom. Yeah, you got an 18. Yeah, you get it. You can Arcana it if you want.
I got an 18 on my Arcana.
Hold person.
Gotcha.
Makes sense. But as I said before, I'm not trying to hurt him. I'm trying
I understand what you said, but when you draw a blade and go to stab a creation who tends to be the chosen of a god.
Yeah. This is fair. This is a fair thing he did.
Yeah.
But go ahead and make an attack roll.
You feel for a second your body somehow not seeing the tech smith behind you watching you as your body seizes up, and then you push forward. And go ahead and make it.
Sweet. Natural 20.
Okay, you are able to stop on a dime, or a shard, you might say.
Did he try to stop me? No.
You actually see his hand wrapped around your wrist.
At that moment, I look at him and I say, how do you feel right now?
I feel... And there's a long pause.
This is new. Take your time, but hold on to it.
And then he bends your arm towards you, and closes his chest. And with that, he says, I understand your inquiry and your method to try and prove your theory, but wouldn't all beings try to defend themselves? Whether they are alive or not, a construct can be programmed.
And think of it as this.
Pause you there because Twiggy's going to intervene.
Yep.
Okay, fair. I will back away slowly and hold my hand up.
At first, you kind of see him, and as he sees this, he goes, an experiment. Why did you say so? Don't just randomly pull out a blade and start stabbing someone. That's how you get thrown into the cogwheel.
Fair. I will remember this for future endeavors, but...
and Nim, without missing a beat, goes, yes, that would be lots of pain. As he looks
in my defense,
straight in the face.
In my defense, this had to seem as real as possible. I apologize if I caused you, and I point to Twiggy, or you, Nim, any duress. But what that feeling?
Well, a simple show of respect to asking me permission to perform experiments on my brethren would have been sufficient and not a breach of invitation. Do not let it happen again.
I won't.
If you wish to conduct experiments, I willingly accept.
Thank you. I appreciate your trust.
But also, it must be approved by the techsmith.
I will keep this in mind in the future. But think about this. The most basic motivation of any life is self-preservation. That is what fear stems from. Whether you know it or not, what you felt was fear.
I have felt something inspiring.
If I asked you to take that inspiration and mold it into a face, into a mask, what would it look like? That fear you felt.
I do not know.
I would like to ask you to try to make something that would fit my face. I want to see if you can mold fear into a face. I'd be willing to compensate you for your efforts, obviously.
It
But I want...
It can and will be done. Please give me time to complete this task.
Of course.
Your only parameter and requirement is one of fear,
Yes.
of feeling.
The feeling of fear made manifest.
I will try to create a creation that will be a paragon of your satisfaction. May I ask why you want this made?
I am embarking on a journey that may require me to take different faces, and I may need one of pure primal fear.
Inspiring. Suddenly, you watch a human tinkerer wearing a large sun hat, welding goggles, and saffron-colored robes tied together by a tool belt come hustling in and walk up to techsmith Twiggy. He then whispers something into the gnome's ear. You watch as the techsmith continues to nod and nods a few more times and then screams, "What?" He then, very calmly, turns to you two.
Oh, good, you're here. Let me explain why I summoned you to the House of Inspired Hands.
What?
What?
It appears we have misplaced a small clockwork dragon we made for the Midsummer Parade at the end of the 10-day. It's nothing big, but it's something we are very proud of and seems to have misplaced it. You did so well at finding the nimble right. If you could please find our little dragon, we would reward you, say, 1,000 dragons. That is, if you bring it back in one piece, safe and sound, unharmed. It's very small, hard to...
How little?
Small.
Like, I point to myself, then I point to a box on a shelf, and then I point at the table. How small are we talking here?
Nope, but it's just a tiny problem that shouldn't be too hard to take care of.
A piece of my crystal shard power source resides within it. Perhaps this will be of assistance again. And the construct pulls out an odd 12-inch contraption of gears with an umbrella-like metallic protrusion at one end with a handle and a lever on the other, and hands you the nimble-right detector before continuing to going back to attaching his severed leg.
I take it.
Mm-hmm.
I look to Vinley. This... What hellscape have we gotten ourselves into again? But I nod to the man. I say, we will endeavor to do our best to find your small dragon. Do you have any leads?
Yes, it's missing.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Good, now, hurry along. Chop, chop, no time to waste.
She starts walking out.
I turn to Nim one last time and I say, thank you for trusting me in this endeavor. I hope in the future you'll trust me more. And I promise I'll never do anything like that again.
You already have my permission. I enjoy learning. It is inspiring.
Into a future of mutual inspiration. I walk off, Finley.
I'm waiting outside for him at this point because she's just walking straight out. She does not like being in this place. Okay, so Voss, people have been mentioning that they've been seeing a dragon flying around. Vajra told me about it this morning.
Oh,
The one problem is she didn't completely say where it was spotted.
this is a task for the rest of the group, I think. I'm certainly not going to fight whatever abomination they created by ourselves.
I would probably just go invisible again. That's a great strategy. I can't believe I've never figured out that spell before.
I've always thought it was useful.
I do have a question for you, Voss.
Ask, please.
Are you okay?
It's kind of a vague question.
Feel free to give
Feel
a
like this
vague
is-
answer.
I feel the way I always have. Ready, sharp, alert.
Okay.
Why did you ask me?
Part of my medical training isn't just anatomy, it was also psychological. And it used to intrigue me why you were so similar to me. But I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. There's just, I have this feeling. Anyway, let's go back and tell the others about the dragon.
You want to know something? I didn't understand at first, whenever I screamed at the rest of you that we were living with a knife against our throat, why you all responded that way. Now I get it. I don't know if any of you have ever lived under the constant pressure of something to kill you at any moment. Maybe you have. In fact, I think you have. Not all your life. Me? All of it that I can remember. So to all of you, this war that we're involved in is new. To me, it's normalcy.
I do eventually want to show you a different way of doing things. The way I used to do it before everything went downhill and my life turned to shit, briefly. There used to be such beauty in sunsets. Perhaps that should be what we start with you. Just watch a sunset sometime. Anyway, let's go home. And she starts pointedly walking down the street.
Okay, we're gonna go to Harold.
Oh. Harold, you go out and return to your typical spots for gathering information. You hit up the local watering holes that harbor the less than reputable, the mercenaries, the alley blades, and bully blades. You head to the guild master butcher Armel Benoit and his crew at Meats and Treats. You talk to a few urchins and grease some palms and even buy some dog food for Jimmy the Fish, aka Fishy Jim, to try and hunt down any new information about recruiting for the Zentarum and its run with Herodust. It takes you most of the day.
But you travel the city, following lead against lead against lead, and notice that it is fairly difficult to acquire a carriage. And notice less and less horse-drawn buggies, especially in the southern and dock wards. And you notice more people walking by foot. Any carriage you do find, you notice that the price is upcharged by a minimum starting cost of 5 shard in the dock ward and up to 10 dragons in the sea ward. And the carriage ride...
Oh, I was just... Oh, damn.
Yeah. And the carriage rides you do take are often shared with others. The only area that this is not true is the sea ward, where it is all private carriages. However, you have enjoyed the conversations with the myriad of strangers. You have had fun warning them about purple pants and talking to them about the complexity and complex conversations on if a buttered lobster can live in a vase filled with fresh water.
I need you to do a skill challenge for me now.
I would love to.
All right, so the first one is going to be a disguise kit check, so no one notices or recognizes Harold.
I was literally actually going to ask if I can make a disguise check. So that's awesome that you guys thought of that. That's so cool.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, let's be real.
What do you look like, though? Tell us.
Yeah. Please describe what.
So
it could be more than one persona that you take on the day, but.
So no, it depends on where I am. I will probably disguise myself just like generally, but as we get to the skulkier and skulkier parts, I'm going to have bought a new outfit that is mostly all black with hints of white and red trim, and I'm going to model my face to have like almost like a ghost of the features of Manchun. If you were right on top of me, you'd be like, well, that's clearly not Manchun. But if you were like
passing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want fine clothes or a costume?
Fine clothes. I think that he would not. I think his clothes are really nice, and I'll spend the money for it.
Yeah, take 15 gold off of.
15 gold. Cool. All right, so I'm trying to. I would have rolled by now, but I'm trying to figure out where my disguise.
So it is your proficiency bonus
plus your, let's say, intelligence check, because you're trying to replicate somebody else.
That's fair.
You were
just throwing something together, it would be Dex, but
you
right. But because I'm specifically like, okay, I'm sure. What does he look like? Okay, please don't fail me. Not now. All right. 14.
You are proficient in it, so are you adding your proficiency?
Yeah, adding my proficiency, that's 14. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Rolled an 11.
All right. Sounds good. Go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
Wait, pause. What's your intelligence modifier?
That'd be a 0.
Oh, okay, then yes.
I'm not the brightest.
Just
it's all charisma, baby.
He's so pretty. He's so
sometimes
pretty.
I ask myself how far I can get on charm alone. Apparently, pretty far.
The next one is persuading people to give you the information.
Absolutely. I'm much more confident here. 22.
Okay. The next one is deception, to get them to think that you're on their side and not just someone, you know.
Right.
You're not a narc.
Right. That's fair.
Be cool.
Be cool, dude. Be cool.
You gotta tell me if you're not.
It's pretty cool.
That's the law. You gotta tell me. 30?
Got it.
Just barely. Next one is insight, to make sure that they're telling you the truth.
Alrighty.
Or at least enough of the truth that you can follow the lead.
19.
19. Okay. And then make another charisma skill. Your choice, but explain what you are doing, how you are doing it, and so you can make it whatever you want, whatever scene you want, but what is
make up a scene for me to do deception?
Deception or persuasion, your any charisma skill.
Can it have been one of the ones you've already described, like what my relation with Jimmy the Fish was?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So when Jimmy the Fish kind of stepped out and was like trying to figure out like who was it that dropped the fish, and he's like coming out with the food or whatever, I perfectly mimic Voss stepping out of the shadows and just like step up behind him, and I'm like, I've been waiting for you for over 5 minutes. And like when he turns, he like sees that the staff I have is pointed directly at his throat, and I'd be like, let's talk. And I'll make an intimidation check.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
I like it. I like it.
Not as good as the other ones, but it's still pretty good. 13.
Still get it.
All right.
Still got it.
So,
Bard.
yeah. All right. While traversing through the city streets, you learn, just from the regular citizens wandering the street, that the horses of the city have been disappearing. You learn it started happening over the past day, originating around the time you all were in the field ward. Some speak whispers of a beast prowling the wards. Others say a giant machine that has been collecting them. Maybe a new dung sweeper apparatus.
Rumors say the eye tyrant known as the Xanathar was killed, with a few alluding to the fact that it was orchestrated by Manchun himself. But what is disheartening is the rumors that someone has already stepped in to take his place. Only 6 days within the lair attack, and only 2 days since the rumors of his death. Some believe it to be just a ruse for Manchun to take over the Xanathar Guild. You also hear conflicting thoughts on which Manchun that actually might be, as some speak of the main Manchun with a banner of green, but a small few murmur about a separate Zentarum under the banner of the red wings of the flying serpent. And there cannot be another faction unless the old rumors of multiple Manchuns are true.
You hear there is a few people who talk about a new cult in the city. There's no identifying features whispered about the cult, only that alley blades have been contracted to look for an item of great importance. At first, you think it's going to be the stone, but rumors say they are looking for a crown.
But you get no details about it. Just a strange cult is looking for the crown. A few of the people you speak to talk about something coming, brought on by what they call the winter's wind. It's hard to tell what they mean by that. Could be a person, a dark omen, or perhaps literally winter that's half a year's away. But the message you get that spreads through the city on the tongues of those who bear the mark of the serpent makes little sense to you, but you recognize it as thieves can't.
The winter's wind brings a merchant's friend, and they will receive 5/3 of a 10 of their wares when walking with a golden lady.
Could you repeat that so I can write it down?
Yeah, okay. So
That's
the winter.
also Harold.
We're just gonna send it to you in chat.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea what it means?
But I nod very convincingly, like I know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Of course, the winter's wind. Who doesn't?
Yep.
Fucking Jesus, I knew that last week.
But after a long day of gathering information, of again following lead after lead, literally almost traversing the entire city, it's getting late into the evening now, and you're on your way home. You're actually able to hail and be picked up by one of the scarce carriages on the streets. They ask you where you're going, and from where you are now to all the way to Troll Skull Manor, as I'm sure that's where you're going, they ask for a gold. And the traveler's fee.
No worries. I give it to him.
Oh, one last thing. Go back up.
What?
One thing that didn't happen. Of the greasing and palms and traveling, I need you to roll 3d10.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, 3d10. Okay.
Yep.
For how much all this probably costs me.
Yep.
Hey, no information's free.
Nope.
Secrets are a gift. And gifts, sometimes they have a price. Do I total it or tell you the three numbers?
Total it.
13.
13 gold.
13 gold.
13 gold.
Fine.
Easy peasy.
You spent today
Well worth.
greasing palms and getting info.
I love it.
Riding around
Love
the
it.
city.
That's awesome.
But when you get into the carriage, just like everybody else, there's another person.
Oh,
It's the Rose.
Jeez, I hope not. I'm like, hey, what's up?
The ratty hooded, fully cloaked man just pays no attention, continues to stare out the window, pretends like you're not even there. And I'm sure you go on about whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, so weird how this city sells a lot of purple pants out of all the things they could sell. Am I right? I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody thinks about this, but I have to go talk about it right now. And I'm just gonna start going off this random person.
Yep. And he again pays no mind and just constantly watches out the window. And this goes on for a while before you hear a sinister voice echo out from behind the cloak.
Hello, Oscar.
Shit.
Why did you do this to me? This is your fault.
I'm sorry.
I blame you.
The man removes his hood and robes as you see a pale elven man with dark medium-length hair parted down the middle. It stops the front of his prominent cheekbones and tapers down to just over his high collar in the back. He is wearing fine clothes similar to that of a noble, if it weren't for the obvious eloquent leather-crafted pauldrons and studded leather vestments that is also with his garments.
Yeah.
Each stud, button, embroidery, and cufflink is depicted of a rose and minted in rose gold.
You know, for a while now, I have assumed you bested my most promising assassin. And with that, a void needed to be filled. I was going to formally ask you to step higher into the fold, but I didn't have to. You stepped willingly unbeknownst to even myself, which I know means you did not see it coming. For you have proved that I can never let you go, and that you will always be my loyal gardener. You see, the best fertilizer is bodies. They grow the most vibrant and full roses. And you have created a beautiful compost with the herd of gathered masses literally buried in the ground underneath our feet in Waterdeep. And from their wake, I will cultivate a beautiful, blossoming garden. I mean, common the metaphor, you're a genius. I could literally kiss you right now. But thanks to that, I no longer have any interest in your stone, for you have given me control over everything I have ever wanted. The guild I am rebuilding and the port they control. I've always liked the moniker my deadly flora have given me, but Xanathar does have a nice ring to it, don't you think?
So the rumors are true then. You stepped into the role.
Now, because you have granted me this one favor, I shall grant you one in return.
Yeah? I'm listening.
He holds his hand out as if to wait for your response as to what your one request is.
He looks over at him and stares for a moment and goes, if it's all the same, I'd rather we just part ways here.
Oh. I already told you I can never let you go. You're too valuable.
Well, don't take it personally if I think your favor isn't worth very much to me. Xanathar is right where he deserves to be. And
You see,
I didn't... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I didn't want to have to be in a position to do what I did, but he put me there. And who knows what would happen if someone put me in that position again.
Speaking of, I do have something I need. And you see, you're so good at destroying what would now be my lair. I want you to do it again.
You see, I came into the acquisition of a special medallion that lets someone walk right into their base of operation. Colat Towers. An old stone manor once inhabited by the opposing wizardly twin brothers Aseldor and Dulak. It looks abandoned since the death of the Dulak and the disappearance of Aseldor. However, more importantly, it is impenetrable due to the perpetual wall of force left by Dulak. That is, unless you have one of these.
You watch the man roll a coin medallion etched with circular arcane runes that intertwine through the center and circle the edge.
I recognize it, don't I?
Yep, it looks exactly like the one you bartered with at La Spinadoro.
Oh my god, I need that so bad.
And with that, he offers it to you.
I look down at it, and I look back up at him. I know why you want me to have this. You're hoping I'll perform a repeat performance for Manchun for you.
And he just goes, is it not something that you want as well?
I reach over and take it, and I can
As you go to take it, he folds his hand.
One request.
Go ahead.
Your insight picks up that he's waiting for you to, he's giving you a moment of actual respect, knowing that you are about to accept this, but he's letting you make one request.
This music is so perfect. My request is that you never, ever, via your forces, anyone you've hired or anyone you've spoken or related to, harm any of my friends, ever.
I offered you one request, a gesture of kindness out of respect, and now you are disrespecting me. You see each of your friends as a separate subject, therefore a separate request. I promise you my roses will not bloom nor wilt over one, but it will be you who tells me which one. So choose the one you care about most, Oscar.
My request is that you only target me.
Oh, I told you, you're not a target. I need you. So you can choose one. Lady Gathala? Or is it Veterok now?
I don't answer that.
Or the Loa Seeker? So innocent and pure? Or the High Elven Galanodel? Or perhaps it's your mirror, the one known as Ronto.
My request is that under no circumstances can you ever lie to me again.
Done.
Is the Harlequin still alive?
I don't know.
Good.
And he holds his hand out.
Offering you the...
I take it and say, I can never resist an encore. And I put it in my pack.
And with that, the carriage stops. And he takes his cane and knocks it against the floor twice. And you hear somebody get down, unlock something from outside, and opens the door.
I pause and look back at him. So what does this mean about us? I'm one of you guys now. Does that make me a Xanathar lieutenant?
Oscar, you never left.
Harold grits his teeth and and he stops as he's crawling out the door, and he pauses and lifts his head, and he's like, at some point you're gonna have to meet my other boss. And he turns and looks back at him, and he's like, I can't wait for that. And I'm gonna walk out the door.
Okay. Door is closed, and the coachman gets back on and rides away. You are in the lower section of the North Ward, just past the Trades Ward, and it'll take you another 10 minutes to walk home.
Ooh, I'll walk it. Well, at least I got out of that problem. That's one less problem.
I'm
Sorry
so
about
proud
that.
of you.
Oh, we had backups.
Oh, this is so bad.
Sorry, Ethan.
No, it's great. This is all your fault, Goblin.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, sorry.
I think we were all
It wasn't the rose until you said it, and then it was like, you know what?
Well,
Yeah,
I-
right?
I- good idea.
I'm so glad we collaborated on that before the game.
Eventually, everyone comes and
Um,
meets back at
Yeah,
Disco Manor.
V, while you are at the house kind of alone after the reliving your most traumatic experience, there is a knock on the door.
Wait, my bedroom door or the door of the tavern?
The door of the upstairs common room.
Hello?
It's Renair.
Oh, yeah, come on in.
Open, and he walks in.
You don't need a knock to come into the common room. It's fine.
Oh, well, just want to be respectful.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, and he will. Are you okay? You seem.
Oh no, I had a hell of a day. I got to relive all my best void trauma in the void trauma moments. Got to relive all of those. It was really, really fun, face ripping and everything. In order to strengthen my mind, apparently I have to experience trauma repeatedly. So that's a really fun thing. I have a theory that all wizards out there are really fucked up.
I mean, you're not wrong. There are. Just about every wizard I know has had some traumatic experience leading them to spend their life studying.
Yeah.
But what are you doing at the end of the 10-day?
What am I doing at the end of the 10-day? The end of the what day is it? What's today?
Today is the 22nd.
The end of the 10-day is the 30th? There's a dance. I got this invitation the other day to the Castellaners.
And he holds up an exact replica with his name on it.
You got it too! It didn't have an option for +1, so that's why I didn't say anything yet.
Would you care to be my date to this fancy gala?
Yes. That sounds good.
And you spend the rest of the time until everyone comes back, with him just kind of comforting you and talking to you and distracting you, getting to know each other and kind of taking your mind off of, well, your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone kind of meets back towards dusk.
Yeah, towards dusk. Coming in at different intervals.
Trickling in
Yeah.
at different intervals, not at the same time.
Yeah, and everybody waiting for everybody to share the information all of you have learned throughout the city today. And the last one to arrive is Harold, as he looks beaten and downtrodden, a little scared and angry.
Harold, are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to snap at you. I'm just
No, it's fine. What's wrong?
the rose.
What about
Or
it?
should I call him Xanathar?
What?
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's why the symbol. There was a rumor I heard about there had been some killings and there was a symbol left behind and it was a bloody hand in a triangle with a rose.
No.
There's the bloody hand and triangle. There were of the 3, there were 1/3 of the murders had a rose. So you are correct about that.
Okay.
Yes, there's no rose in the symbol, but
Okay.
you can.
There was
you
a rose
can-
at the murder.
Yes, you can put that correlation. Number 2,
Okay.
there were stone statues that were broken. Number 3, people just disappeared.
The
Yeah.
symbol itself was a bloody handprint where the palm was a skull and it was in an inverted triangle.
Right. Yeah, there was a rose at that place when we were trying to return the dog.
That is also true.
Wait a minute. I know who that is.
Anyway, he doesn't want the money from the stone anymore because I basically made all of his dreams come true by killing the Xanathar. And he's real thrilled about what we did.
Great.
There is some good
Oh.
news out of it. He wouldn't let me leave until I made some sort of deal with him where he would give me something, a favor.
Turn.
Yeah, so I forced him to always have to be completely honest with me.
Is that spellbinding or is it just his word?
He's a weirdo, trust me, he'll stick to it. And then on top of that, I got this, and I produced the medallion.
Wait, I traded that for Voss's friend's necklace. We
Mhm.
got it back?
Yeah. For a favor.
Wait a minute. That goes to his Zentarum building.
Yep. Yes, it does.
He's the Xanathar now. This makes sense.
Ugh.
Wait, so the rose is Xanathar?
He took up the position.
Oh,
He
there's a
took-
new.
He's the new.
Yeah.
I wondered what would happen. I was like, oh, those people are just gonna disperse just because some googly-eyed dude died.
There's a new Zentarum guild too, though. There's an offshoot. It's a red serpent.
Did we make more? Did we make more bad guys? What is happening?
So now might be a good time for me to kind of explain a few things and then get to I know whose symbol that is.
Oh.
And I would love to tell all of you about that, but you're gonna have to get really cool with a lot of things very fast.
Is Renair still here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do not seem at all like I'm going to not tell
Okay.
them.
I was just making sure.
So first of all, here's some things I learned while I was out. Horses are disappearing, which scares me for Monty's sake. They think it might be like a beast prowling the wards or like a big machine or something. Like maybe one of the street sweepers are taking up the horses and like spitting them out.
Finley raises her hand.
What? Oh my
It's-
God, you know where the horses are going.
I have a hypothesis based on what you just said.
Street
The
sweepers, right? That's what I was thinking.
No, the Temple of Gond lost a mechanical dragon.
Oh, you think the dragon's hoarding the horses?
Yeah.
That's not funny, but
It
it's
might
funny.
be pretending to be. Also, side note is apparently it has one of the pieces of Nim in it, so it probably also has a personality.
You know what? Why don't you guys tell me your things
Wait.
first? Y'all sound way crazier.
Ours is fairly short from what we learned at the Temple of Gone. Simply put, they've offered a bounty of 1,000 dragons for the retrieval of this abomination that is apparently or maybe stealing horses.
How big is
You
this
also
thing?
know that 1,000 dragons is for it to be returned unharmed.
It to be returned unharmed.
It's got to be big enough
So-
to carry a horse.
I bet V
Well-
could wrestle it down. It's like it.
He said it was
It's
super small.
But if it's got a
mechanical.
personality, then maybe we could just talk to it.
Whatever the case is,
If it likes
That's out
horses,
there
we
on the
can
table
lure
now.
it back with horses.
How do we find? Yeah.
We get all
That's-
the horses in the city in one place. We herd them together.
You
And then
know,
it'll come to us.
we have access to a very unique horse.
What? Wait. Let's get back to what
yes.
we're talking about. We'll get back to the horses. That's one of many problems. I mean, not to dismiss the horses. I'm just saying I was
Please
face to face with the rose 10 seconds ago. 10 minutes ago.
Right. Well, now the Xanathar.
Yeah.
The
So
criminal
okay, so
formerly
we
known
think
as
that there's
Thor.
a dragon, a mechanical dragon. How'd they lose something that big?
I don't
They said
know.
it.
They said
I
it was
don't-
small.
I don't know how big it is, but whatever the case, this is not something that is pertinent. I'm much more curious in what you were going to say.
Okay, so Xanthar's been replaced. There's a cult with no identifiers that are hiring alley blades. They're looking for a crown.
Well, we don't know.
That ringing any bells for anybody? Anybody like big on tiaras?
I mean, I always like a cute tiara as an accent piece if the occasion is the right time, but that's very far and few between.
Yeah, and how many
for it?
A cult. They didn't have any identifiers though. Nothing that made them stand out.
Well, that's not much to go on.
I mean, cult people tend to really show themselves in public. Like, you ask them a couple of very normal questions, you'll get very culty answers.
Like that one cult, this guy just kept trying to hug me. He didn't want anything else. He just wanted to hug me. So I left him alone very quickly.
Are you sure he wasn't just a pervert?
He said he was part of a cult of many hugs or something. I don't know.
That's a pervert.
That sounds like a pervert.
Sounds like it to me too.
Here's another one.
Did you let him hug you?
Winter's Wind is coming. Hold on, I got a thing. I memorized this because I made the guy repeat it like 3 times, and he, after a while, realized I didn't know what I was talking about, and I ran. The Winter's Wind brings a merchant's friend, and they will receive 5/3 out of 10 of their wares when walking with a golden lady. Tell me, somebody here knows what the fuck that means.
It sounds like a ship is bringing a specific
Boss.
trader.
You know exactly what he just said, as he just spoke in Thieves' Cant.
And he said, a black network market opens on the 5th day of the 3rd 10 day, which you all know is the 25th, at Joaquin's Wares. Harold, I'm sure Voss says this out loud.
Yes.
Okay. Harold, as soon as you hear Joaquin's Wares, instantly strikes a memory.
It's a small pawn shop. You've met the proprietor. He's a bald little human by the name of Maris Lente. When you went to pawn something once, a long time ago, even before you got entangled with the rose, you know he is more than happy to accept nearly anything of value and will pay up to 70% of what it's worth, but you learned the hard way that he will sell it back to you at an insane markup of 12% interest accumulated every day after the initial pawn sale of purchase.
Yeah. All right. And how does that relate? I got so lost in that description, I forgot how it relates to.
Okay, go back up. So there's a black network market that is going to be opening on the 25th at Joaquin's Wares.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to make a religion on Joaquin,
Yeah.
You want to make a religion? I don't know.
Oh,
I rolled a 2.
I got a dirty 20.
okay.
nice.
Joaquin, also known as the Coin Maiden, is a lesser Faerunian deity that ruled over everything related to commerce and the accumulation of wealth through free and fair trade, as well as the beneficial use of wealth to improve civilization. The merchant friend, as she is sometimes called, is also the goddess of illicit trade and the patron of many smugglers, fencers, black marketeers, and businessmen on the shady side of commerce. Collectively, her worshippers are known as the Wakinar.
In the time of troubles, she nearly lost all of her followers, her divinity, freedom, and her life.
Oh, no.
It is said that she is long friends with Lyra, the goddess of joy, and has even made deals with the demon lord Gratz. However, he is now considered one of her most hated enemies.
I wonder why. And I will relay that information to everyone.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what they'll have. We should go.
I would like to go.
And through this, Renair speaks up as if, since everyone's speaking of things that they've discovered.
Yeah, he's like, since we're all laying out rumors, I have some myself. I've heard on the strings that over the past 10 days, there have been reports of gargoyles, giant bats, or something of the same vein diving into the center of the bay in the dead of night. The strange thing is that no one noticed them until a fisherman heard a violent splash followed by 2 others. No reports of them returning out of the water, though. We believe the stone is in Umberlee's cache after the explosion aboard the Eyecatcher, and it can be assumed they are attempting to go after it. Also found info on the cult that tried to take me. They are calling themselves the Right Hand of the Eye.
I don't like the sound of that one.
Well, who would be the left hand?
Does this mean anything to you?
As of right now, no. It's just what I've been able to find out. I'm gonna keep looking, though. But it's all I've been able to find so far.
V looks around and realizes she asked a stupid question.
It's gotta be. Seisha glances at Rainier.
Who's the eye?
It's gotta be related to the eyes of the stone.
Oh.
Perhaps.
Yeah, he did say that when he said we think, he means the Harpers.
Yeah.
Believe the stone is in Umberlee's cache.
Yeah.
When the explosion happened.
Mhm.
I will also say that the description of gargoyles, giants, bats, or something in the same vein, you guys kind of...
Tickle monsters.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't hear anything until they splashed into the water.
Yep.
That's not good.
So something is out there controlling those tickle monsters, and I bet you it's the right hand of the guy. I was laughing a little too hard.
Right hand of the eye. Well, what if it was like, what? Hear me out. It's like an offshoot of the Xanathar because he had a lot of eyes.
I don't know. I don't believe it's... I mean,
Like
it might
his
be.
side
I honestly
project.
don't know. It's possible. We're looking into it. Yes, Seisha, you're holding your hand up.
She looks horrified.
Fish, are you okay?
I think I just figured something out.
Uh-oh, what?
The things that were written on the dead people. I talked to Cromley, and he said that they think these are copycat killings. Something like this happened before. And whatever it was, they were going after shapeshifters. They think that this is a copycat of that, but I just put something together. Let this preside over his happiness, honor, health. It began with his hope and ends with his wealth. A legacy whispered in the heavens and muttered in the hells. The letter H. Preside over his happiness, honor, and health. Begins with hope, ends with wealth. So that would be the letter H. What makes a man mean? The letter A. It turns the word man into mean. H-A.
It's spelling
Harbinger.
something.
Harbinger. It could be the cult.
Harbingers have a lot of eyes, right?
No,
Oh.
the things we found out where the Harbinger is somehow related to the stone.
That's not good.
Wait, no. Man
No,
is spelled...
men. It was men. It was men mean.
What
Wait.
makes men mean?
It's
What makes
men or
men
man? Mean.
It was men, wasn't it?
It was men.
Yeah, men.
So it
men.
would be A. Okay.
It is A. But if this cult is responsible for killing people, they might be spelling out Harbinger
Why?
As an offering.
to
Yeah,
prepare
some
it.
kind of ritual or something.
Prepare the Harbinger.
You're going to look at the man who was strung up today and tell me that doesn't look like cult activity.
That's a
Fair,
good
but assuming this is some magic ritual, I have no idea why they do this.
Because they're killing holy men to open something. They're opening a magical path, probably. We need to let the churches know.
I agree with that. Even if you are wrong, which I don't think you are,
I don't think so either.
but even if you were, it's a good call. Oh shit.
Is the Harbinger a creature?
Don't know.
So we don't
It
know
might be
what
a
it
creature,
is.
it might be a person. We don't know. I haven't been able to find anything.
Oh.
It's such a vague title. There's too many things it could apply to, and I
So we
can't find
don't-
anything that relates to the far realm that it applies to.
Well, maybe we need
So
to
we
get
don't know if it has eyes. Okay.
Maybe we need to get our hands on one of these cultists and get them in a circle of truth.
Yeah.
One thing that I think I probably should let you guys in on. There's no easy way to say this, so I'll just come out and say it. I may have been working against Manchun ever since he came to the bar, like the same night. I've been creating a network that doesn't exist.
What?
Called the Red Wing. It's about a bird, like they're birds, and there's like brown cowbirds that invade their nests. It's a whole big thing. I thought it through. Don't sweat it. The details aren't important. What is important is I have been planting seed all over the city that there is a second Manchun in charge of this group. I have been slowly whittling down Manchun's confidence by strategically spreading rumors and setting up Xanathar to know when Zentarum were doing specific deals, and I've been kind of fucking up his Harrow Dust trade. But I can't keep doing it alone, because eventually I need to look like I have people working for me. So, we have this medallion. You're all here, and the motif is mostly black, white, and red, so Voss is already halfway there.
No, this is great. I met these guys, and I was gonna go back to them and get. Oh yeah, so I went to see Gariel, and I started playing cards against these guys, and
This is a good story.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. So we started playing cards against them, and I did really good. You would have been so proud of me. But one of them like started to put his hand on my leg, and Gariel like stabbed his hand, and then I accidentally knocked the knife a little deeper, and then pulled it out and handed it back to her. But I got their names and where to find them, so I could go and tell them I want to exchange rumors with them, and I can plant rumors.
Perfect. All we need to do is institute enough of a fear around this that Manchun comes out of hiding to deal with it himself. That's my plan. Even he has a level of pride and egotisticalness that can be taken advantage of. If not that, the paranoia of another one of him, somebody as talented as he is, out there doing something. We don't have to actually be doing a whole lot of anything. We just have to make him think we're out there doing a whole lot of something. That's the whole plan. And eventually, he's going to come out and try to deal with it himself. You saw how he handled it at the bar. He'll do it again.
Seisha, can you tell false rumors?
I was just thinking about that.
If you can get me set up wherever it was you need to go, I can get the rumors out.
Okay.
Does anyone recognize
armor? I could look like you.
Does anyone recognize you while you're doing
Just
this?
borrow my armor.
What's that?
Has anyone recognized you while you're doing this?
I have a host of costumes and personas I usually do whenever I do this. It's a thing. It's a long process. Usually takes all day, just like today.
Well, first, I assume everyone here is on board with eventually destroying Manchu, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I want to see him end.
Yep.
His story needs to end.
All right.
I'm going to kill him and turn him into a zombie.
Ooh, I like that plan.
In any
dope.
case, Harold, excellent work. I'm shocked you managed this so much.
I say to myself daily, how far can you get on charisma alone? And apparently, here we are.
Harold's always been a rumor mill.
There was one other rumor I learned.
What's that?
One of the nobles is a vampire.
Harold?
You sure about that?
Oh no. Wait. Let me ask you guys some questions. As soon as she says this, he was wrapped head to toe, right?
Who?
Oh, no. Okay.
The
Well,
rogue?
I see what you're asking. I will say he had a hood up right?
Oh,
His whole ensemble is covered. And when he revealed himself, he did look like a pale elf, and you've only encountered him in enclosed areas. So yes, okay.
Yeah. I mean, did I
God
see any
damn it.
Wait, who is this?
touch him at all?
The
A
rose.
rose.
Oh,
Were there any? He's looking out the window, so I assume there were windows. Was sunlight hitting him?
Yes.
Oh, you see Harold kind of. Okay, well, it's not the rose. Unless he's wearing really, 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 really thick makeup.
You thought the rose was a vampire.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It may not actually mean that the noble's a vampire. It just means there's a noble who's doing something under the cover of night and doesn't want to be caught.
or maybe they're a
What?
literal vampire knowing this damn city.
How much do I know about vampires?
Make an Arcana or Religion check.
Can I make one too?
Yeah, go ahead.
In the meantime, we have
Yep,
this medallion.
Did you get Venley?
I got a 24.
I got a natty 20.
Oh!
I need your total.
With Arcana would be 24.
So you
Oh,
Nice.
just to let you know, I rolled an 18.
You know that they cannot be out in the sunlight. You know that they drink blood. They
create vampire spawn. Vinley, you learn yours from studying undead. Seisha, you learn yours from studying stories about Strahd.
Okay.
Oh.
This
The Demon Lord Strahd.
this infamous, vampire lord who lives in some place called Barovia. It's probably made up. You've never seen or read. It's not on any maps. Doesn't exist in Faerun. It's probably a false. Like it's probably
he's
a fiction.
super creepy though.
Yeah, totally creepy. But
He lives in a bag
But
dimension.
he's like hot creepy.
Yep.
When you're going over your knowledge from these stories, it is confirmed with Vinley as you both go back and forth.
Yeah, there's usually like bats or wolves or something tied to them, but that's about all you know.
You know that they're shapeshifters. Can be shapeshifters.
Yeah.
You guys excuse me for a minute? I
Sure.
need to run
Yeah?
downstairs real quick.
Yeah. When nature calls.
Thanks. Whatever that means.
What
She'll
is-
get up and run downstairs.
It means you have to pee.
Who the hell is Strahd?
You don't want to know.
I don't. One syllable names are scary.
So he's not a real
Looks
dude?
over at Voss.
Wait, my name's V.
Yeah, man, it can be Vio Miliano. You got that nice, Vio Miliano. And then you can go, V when you want to get, intense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got the versatility, but he's always going to be Voss.
He's also Bill Ronto.
Strahd probably died to something silly. Moose killed him years ago or something.
All right, what are you doing, Seisha?
I'm gonna go downstairs into the kitchen. How busy are we?
Not. It's
It's dinner time.
it's dinner time. It's winding towards the end of dinner.
Okay. I'm gonna go into the kitchen. Javier, I hate to bother you. Could you help me with something downstairs real quick?
Into the cellar,
Yes.
and he looks.
No.
And literally abandons his station, and
She takes over and starts
Yeah.
finishing what he was doing.
When we get downstairs. And she's going to think, oh God, what were their names? I need to know if Hondrig and it was Kika, is how you say it?
Kika, correct.
I need to know if Hondrig and Kika were shifters.
Who are these people?
Okay, good. There's some holy men who were murdered. This is apparently their deaths mimicked a series of murders.
Your answer would have been given upon their death.
Okay. I only asked because apparently their deaths mimicked the murders of some shapeshifters many years ago. I wanted to make sure someone wasn't coming after you. Well, your
You
people.
see like a little bit of worry wash over him as like Bonnie's whole thing with all of her people is to keep them hidden and just integrated because doppelgangers are seen as evil creatures because they have this ability.
Yeah.
But you see that worry wash over him, and he's. Thank you for telling me.
I just wanted to make sure, and I wanted to let you know what was going on. If you can pass the word along, we'll keep you safe.
I'm always here.
And if you would, let your folks know that if they're scared or they get into trouble, they can come find us, and we'll help.
It will be many more mouths for me to feed, and I would love to do this. So, thank you. And I have a house of heroes that live above me.
Yeah.
Or, live above my work. So, thank you. But I must.
Yeah, no, it was just a quick thing. Thanks. And she'll go
Make your
running
way
back
back
upstairs.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I feel better.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
Yeah. So somebody's seeking a crown. There's a black market coming. Tickle monsters are diving into the bay. There's a cult called the Right Hand of the Eye.
Probably the cult that's been looking for the crown.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group leaving behind a symbol that's a bloody hand in an inverted triangle.
Not my group. I draw mine, by the way. I draw my symbol and show
Is yours a red serpent?
I show them the wings.
And so what it is it's a circle formed from 3 of the flying serpent wings.
Yes.
There's no
Okay,
serpent
because
in
what
it.
was described to me was a red serpent instead
so
of...
you're looking at it, and you remember the symbol of the Zentarum.
Yeah,
And the wings that are on that serpent
right. Are the
match
same wings?
The wings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's you.
That's me.
Are cultist gangs like unionizing now or something? Like, why are there so many?
Apparently.
I don't know, but I struck down all the unions in my gang. Let me tell you, right away, nobody questions the boss. And I turn and look over at a mirror nearby, and I'm like, I'm watching you.
Oh, by the way,
I was about to compliment you, Harold, but not now.
the name of the name they gave the killer previously was the Chameleon Killer.
So a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And shifters are the target.
No, not
Or-
this time. Not this time. But it was a series of murders that just ended.
Okay.
The killer
So
went
either the
dormant.
person died, or they were incarcerated for something else, or the message got delivered.
Or they got bored.
Or they were stopped.
Killers don't generally get bored.
Maybe just wanted to live a quiet life, peaceful like a plant.
Got
Uh,
too old.
I feel like murderers tend to not do that either.
That's
All
fair.
the bodies were cremated.
I will
I will say this. The bodies were cremated after they were retrieved by the Watch, not in the ritual of their...
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I just wanted
the
to make
city cremated their remains.
Right, yeah.
sure so that they weren't buried so gruesomely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to clear
wonder
that
if-
up, make
I
sure that
wonder
is...
if they're going to do the same thing this time.
Probably. It also keeps them from turning into one of my creations. So it's good on
Hey,
2 fronts.
Finley, do me a favor. Never do that to me.
Oh no. Oh no. I will never. You have my word now. I will never bring any of you back like that.
Okay. I don't know what it would do to one of me. But I figured.
Look, if you're in a
would.
pinch and it's my body or you can. I'm okay with being a coat rack if it saves your life. Just keep that in mind if you get in that position. I'll coat rack it up. I wouldn't even think twice.
That's touching, Harold.
Fine. I feel like once I die, my body isn't really mine anymore, so.
Asimar, don't die.
So you live in your body?
From what I've researched, they go on to another body.
But what happens to the old one?
Oh.
It
Just
doesn't
like the
decay?
I don't know. I just know that we don't die.
We're
That
talking about reincarnation. Oh.
talk about great amount of stories. You can never run out.
So you get remade
Well, it's
into
a
another
little weird.
person.
I don't remember anything from if it happened before. Maybe I'm brand new.
No, it doesn't sound right.
You could be.
That's a thing. You can like become an Asimar.
I mean,
It's a heritage thing.
that's
Oh.
cool.
It's your soul.
We
Yeah.
actually got a lot done today, didn't we? Looking over my list, I'm like, wow.
I'm tired.
What
You
do
gotta
want?
teach me how to thieves' camp.
Oh, boss, did you get the potions?
That was you?
Yeah.
Don't ever do anything like that again. It freaked me out.
Harold starts laughing too.
Out.
I appreciate the gesture. Thank you very much for doing that. But somebody just left something on my pillow in my room, and I don't know who did it.
They were
Somebody
like
did
little
something
mints.
nice. Something must be up.
Little mints? What the hell are you talking about?
When people stay, I've read a story where people stayed at a really nice inn, and when they went to go to bed, there were little chocolates on their pillows.
Oh, I love those. I love staying in those inns.
Oh yeah, aren't they nice? They're really nice.
They're so
So
nice.
should-
It's always really good.
Yeah.
It's always top shelf chocolate too.
Stacia,
Yeah.
Very refreshing.
I want you to think for a moment. Have I ever in my life stayed in a fancy hotel?
Well, I don't know. You haven't told me that much about your life.
Take a guess.
The
You
answer's
could.
no. The answer's no.
Hey, a
Link's
vacation would be
correct.
great.
Probably not.
So, I
Someone could have
appreciate-
hired you for a job and put you up there for a day. We don't know.
Whenever
So
we go to the mountains for V, we will make sure we stay at one fancy hotel along the way.
you.
One fancy hotel.
Thank you for the gesture. It was nice. Please inform me in the future.
So,
Oh, I read something.
We're gonna
what
force
did I
you to
read?
go on vacation and relax, man.
I was looking through my book about the city.
Yeah.
Statue the Hawkman.
Yeah. What about him?
There's a sentence in here that might be interesting to you. I can reveal that, in fact, it bears much resemblance to the Aarakocra, one of the bird people said to live in the Star Mounts in the High Forest.
There's
Oh.
bird people who live in the Star Mounts.
Yeah.
You learned that.
yeah, that was in the info that you learned specifically.
Oh.
Just a really quick
Okay. Well, then
aside.
I already knew that. No.
Just a quick aside, everyone. Rainier, what were you trying to say?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, you guys are on a roll. I'm here. I was trying to say, this is the 6th time, that I am happy to start looking into anything you want me to start looking into. Just let me know which you would prefer of your topics, and I can put my resources towards it.
I think the crown.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna say the crown would be my.
Okay.
The crown.
It's very
Wait.
vague, but I'll see what I can find.
How are we supposed to look up information on this, like, blood snake cult, whatever? I forgot the
We
name.
don't have to. That's the one Harold is doing.
Oh, right. You created the Red Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But there's
The right
another
hand.
one, isn't there? The right
no,
hand.
No, it's the right. The
Yeah.
red. Yeah.
There is
I
one.
think that
I
might.
know
I
that
think that might be
symbol
the
from
same
somewhere.
thing. I think that might be the cult going
Sure.
after. It could very well be the cult that's going after this crown.
Right, but like we don't know anything about them. How are we supposed to find more information if they're supposedly new and there might not be information about them anywhere?
Well, V, let's be honest. We've been here for 3 months. Everything finds a way to us.
Didn't we come
Okay.
across something that had an inverted triangle? Oh no.
Bernier, I do have one simple thing to ask you.
Of course. What's up?
I just would like to know if the Gathalas will be attending the Castle Lantern Party.
Good question.
No, I can find out. It's not a bad thing to know.
No,
by the way,
it's-
and he'll hold up his invitation. I'm going too.
Oh, rock on. Awesome.
So V gets to bring a date.
Yes.
That's cute.
Lucky.
It would be better if they didn't, but if they are, I'd like to know ahead of time.
I will see if I can find that. I can definitely find that out.
I sent that letter to your mom.
I want to know too. I didn't think about it.
Thank you.
It would be rude for them to not invite them.
Knowing their history, I don't see why they would be invited, but stranger things have happened in nobility and politics.
The Castle Lanterns may be looking to build bridges if they are invited.
It's
If
possible.
they're not, then it would hold that they are still at odds.
I'll let you know as soon as I find out.
Also, just a quick aside. How long do we think the Castellans are going to play along with the fact that we serve V? Do we already think they know that we all own the bar? Or are they just...
I think we should probably make it clear to them that there was a misunderstanding and we didn't want to embarrass them previously.
Okay.
But if they announce our names or whatever as we come in, then we need to wait again. Maybe we should get someone to clear that up. And he looks over at Seisha. Maybe we should get someone to clear that up with them as soon as possible.
Oh, sure. I was going to see if I could go get an audience with them anyways.
And just make it clear that when we repeated Bill's name, well, I don't know. You can't lie.
I'll just tell them that you two are weird and do weird things. And this was one of those weird things you do.
Yeah,
Or
that's
Sure.
accurate.
That works.
Yeah.
It's the
I don't-
truth.
Mind being Dill Ronto. It's fine.
So I can tell them you're Harold.
Yes, please tell them
Okay.
it was just a misunderstanding.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
It's good to see you.
Bernier, always good to see you, friend.
And he will take your hand and kiss it, V. As I'll see you tomorrow. And
Yeah.
we'll make his exit.
I will go close the door behind him, wait until he looks well without of earshot, and then come back. Our original task hasn't really changed. Noble families in the eye. That's our priority.
I agree.
Seisha, I'm glad that you're going to be taking a head on this as well. Hopefully this will be able to eliminate some suspects or potentially find out exactly who has it. I want to ask you, Vinley, or you, Seisha, either of you may know the answer to this. When you use spells, I can't tell if this is anything like this on noble ground, but when we attack the Growlings, strange things happen. Inexplicable things. Can grounds become magically inclined?
Yes.
Or
You can enchant a specific
Absolutely.
area.
would they be able to tell when you're casting something?
It's not a subtle thing to cast.
Yeah.
If somebody is actively watching for it, yes.
What I believe you're trying to ask is, no, I don't believe there's a spell that allows someone to sense whether someone is casting a spell within a certain amount of range.
Detect magic, maybe, but
Perhaps.
that'd be it.
Would you be able to mind going with someone who may be able to cover for you? Harold or Vinley, perhaps? Or would
I
that
was just
really
going to
cover?
excuse myself to the ladies' room and cast it in there.
That might work too.
I
If you feel comfortable doing this by yourself, I don't mind. But if you wanted someone else to take with you,
I couldn't go to the Gathalas.
fair enough.
I could
I'm
go.
fine.
All right. I
I'm
won't
not scared of
push
them.
the issue.
You sort of should be. a little-
I sent the letter off and I only stated that I would be there, and it's a
Very well.
touchy situation.
I
Don't
won't
want to
push
spring
you.
anything on her.
It's late now, right?
Part of me is wondering if she's going to ask for V to be there.
Yes, it is. It is getting very late.
I
You
don't
have a
think-
lot of things to think about to do over the coming 10 day. Nothing has been stated as you must do this right now.
Yep.
It's all kind of like get to it sooner
Yeah.
than later. But so you have a lot of options of what you want to do. But I think that's where we're going to retire with everyone going to bed for the night. Oh, okay, Vinley wants to do something. Yes.
So we how has the sun fully set?
Yes.
Yes, by this time, yeah.
Okay. Then she will just open her windows and pray to the night sky that night.
Okay.
Hey, Gus,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I freaked you out.
Oh. You know how I am. It's not a big deal.
Sleep, sweet.
Oh, thank you. No apologies necessary.
I'm going
I
to walk up
appreciate the thought.
I'll
to
leave a note
the-
next time.
and because
be
I know
nice.
I can sense V's feeling some type of way, I'm going to walk up to her and be like, "Hey, I had a rough night the other night. I was wondering if I pulled like some covers and slept on the floor in your room, if that would be cool. Like we could just sleep."
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay, cool. And he kind of smiles to her and he's like, "You okay?"
Yeah, I just really don't like the void.
Let's talk about that and fall asleep.
And you recount your what you went through today, V, and Harold recounts what he went through when he was in another world. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
As you all fall asleep, so feel free to long rest any spell slots that you lost or things you lost along the way. And we will pick up next week with special guest DM B. Dave Walters, where
Yeah.
we will take a step back and get to experience the episode from the audience.
Yeah, you'll see us in chat.
We're gonna be in chat.
Probably
It's gonna
freaking out.
be- Yep.
I'm sure it's
I-
fine.
Oh no.
Oh,
We 100%.
I trust B. Dave. He's not Todd.
Hang on, I've
That
got
is
something for this. Wait,
Uh,
almost there.
If you have not entered hashtag, yes, exactly. That is.
Yep.
If you have not entered hashtag Beyond for your chance to win Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, including Glacial Ice Dice, digital copy from D&D Beyond, please enter now. If you have not entered hashtag Eldritch to win or have a chance of winning your own customizable miniature from Eldritch Foundry, please do so now. We're going to do the drawing very soon.
Yep.
I hope everyone had fun watching tonight. I hope all of our players had fun with all of the things that they wanted to do and all of the things that they learned.
It was amazing.
Oh my
So
god.
much information.
Holy
yeah.
crap.
I mean, you guys have been doing a lot and it has changed the city a lot.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the first time you met the Xanathar was like, there's a traitor. And he said, you have to go after the Rose. And so now you know why and what the Rose wanted. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
We
Yep.
should have killed the rose first.
Yay!
If I was level 12, I'd have jumped him right there, but I'm level 7.
You could jump him right there, or you would have dimension doored the
You
fuck
know
out.
what? You know what, Harold? I don't want your excuses. I want action.
One day I have to fight that guy.
One day.
I don't know if the Harlequin's still alive or not, and he doesn't
I
even
know.
that's scarier.
All right, our winner of the Eldritch Foundry miniature is Valley Forever.
Ooh.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Valley Forever. Waiting on the. Why do they do this to me? Winner of the Rime of the Frost Maiden is Sophia Rosegleam.
Hey,
Right.
I believe I did not butcher that.
Yeah, that looks right.
Sophia Rosegleam.
Yes.
Congratulations. We'll be in contact with you through Twitch, so make sure your whispers are available so that I can give you your prizes.
hashtag Ice Bees.
Ice Beast.
Tag Ice Bees.
Remember to tune
Ice
in
bees.
Ice Bees. Remember to tune in next week. Although we are not in the seat, B. Dave Walters will be running something that is canon with the BFGs. Also, tune in the 23rd on the D&D channel to watch us.
Co-DM A Darkened Wish.
Yes.
Nice.
PM Eastern Time.
5 p.m. Pacific time.
Yes.
It'd be so cool.
And that too is also canon and may have
ties to story
our
stuff.
story.
Yes, it is a canon crossover.
And as always, be excellent to each other.
And may you always roll with advantage.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Hi, guys.